remember this distinctly because he stopped and he did like this and he was looking into the woods, like where we were at. And when he stopped, I was like, uh-oh. But then he kept walking again. And I'm like, why didn't he just shoot him when he stood still? So he goes behind that big oak tree that you're talking about. When he goes behind that tree, my gun was sitting in my lap the whole time. I snatched the gun up and I put it on him. And I'm like, you better kill him.
Yeah.
We're not letting this turkey get away.
Well, I come to find out I was about 2 seconds away from having another missed opportunity. Andrew was going to take this bird.
All right. Today, we've got an episode that's been a long time coming. We've got the Moodys in here. Sam Moody, how are you doing?
I'm good. Good. Great to be with y'all.
Yep. Blakelee, how are you?
I'm good. Good to be here.
So Sam gets to defend himself finally because apparently we've been not talking.
No, not we. You. Clarify.
I've just been talking about occurrences that happened. Like there's some misses, some things. And we're gonna rectify all that today.
Under the bus, Andrew throws Sam.
Finally, my day in court.
That's right. So I mentioned it last week, but Sam got a turkey, so we're gonna talk about that. We've been working on getting Blakelee a turkey. Got close today. We're gonna talk about that too. But Blakelee, you've killed a deer already. You killed a deer last year, and Sam hadn't killed a deer with us yet. So there I go again.
God, look at this, dude. You see this?
Appreciate everybody.
All right, heading out. All right, so to get into this, you guys are close friends of ours, and over the last couple of years, y'all been getting into hunting more and more, trying to get better at deer hunting, turkey hunting, everything like that. So the way I want to start is y'all's backgrounds in hunting, because I think it's going to be super relatable for a lot of people, actually. So Sam, what's your history? What's your background?
Yeah, pretty limited, to be honest. Like most folks that grew up in the South, had the opportunity here and there and had grown up around people doing it my whole life. But, Dad wasn't in the picture, and so was really at the mercy of friends and family relatives and whatnot. So we were talking about this yesterday, actually. I killed my first deer at 9, but from 9 to 26 probably went 10, 12 times. And I've had some success, but again, very sporadic. Always wanted to. Grew up with a lot of friends who did it, various forms of hunting, but again, just didn't have access to it. So I think that's the theme, I guess, of our hunting experience has just been gratefulness, because we've wanted to do it our entire lives and are now finally being able to. So, but very limited background, so playing catch up quite a bit.
Yeah, the fun thing about you guys is whenever you bring somebody hunting who's either they're trying to kind of get back into it, like what you're talking about, or getting into it the first time, like you never know, like as someone who's trying to like mentor someone and take them out, you never know like how much they're going to get into it. And a lot of people will go a couple times and they like kind of get burned out. Y'all are the opposite. Y'all are out there like every single week, which is awesome. It's really refreshing because y'all get after it. So Blakelee, what about you? What was your upbringing in the hunting world?
Yeah, so, I mean, like, always lived in Alabama, like, always been in the South, kind of same thing. Like, everybody I knew kind of hunted, but it was very much so, I think a lot of people had land, and, like, my family didn't. And we were talking about this last night. Until I met y'all, I never met anybody who public land hunted. I don't know, that's probably not a South Alabama thing, but, like, I never met anybody who public land hunted. Like, either you had land and you hunted, or you were just at the mercy of being asked. And so, just like with my family not having land, my dad was kind of like, if people asked him to go, he'd go. But I can distinctly remember being like, can I go? And it was the kind of thing where he's like, can't really take his 9-year-old daughter when he's the one with an invite, you know? And I do think, like, probably just being, like, a girly girl, too, it's kind of viewed as, like, oh, she won't really, like, want to do this or take it seriously, you know? And like from some of the first conversations when me and Sam started dating, we both were like, this is what we want in life. Like, this is what we want to like raise our future family doing. And so, I mean, as soon as we could get money to be in a club, I mean, we did. And, you know, like y'all are there. Every single time we could, we've been there. I mean, me and Jacob were talking about it today. I was like, it's time for me to get my social life back. Because I've had to blow so many people off. I mean, I literally had to blow off Tiffany today. I was like, I'm so sorry. I got to go hunt today. I can't go get coffee.
I was having to explain that to Tiffany the other day. I'm like, they're obsessed with it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, you live with me. Like, you understand it. I'm like, they're into that now. Like, this is them. They've fallen.
When we got here earlier, Tiffany was like, I can't believe now all my friends are into hunting. Like, it's not even Andrew's friends. Now it's my friends, my best friends. It's like, this is terrible. Like, I can't do nothing anymore. It sounds like you just need to get more into hunting.
I was like, we're about to have 6 months, girl. We're about to have 6 months of no hunting. Maybe a little fishing, but...
Well, and I'm sure we'll get into it, but not to self-deprecate, but it's been a tough introduction to hunting.
It
for
sucked.
Sure. I mean, it's been...
But not, like, I told him this last night. We're laying in bed. I was like, I'm so thankful. I mean, beyond, like, all joking aside, like, I truly am living my dream. And I haven't killed a buck, haven't killed a turkey. And it sucks. Every day I wake up. I mean, I cry all the time about it. It's embarrassing. Like, I will literally just start weeping because I want it so bad and I've worked so hard. But, I mean, I don't know. You have to love it to keep doing this. Because it's torture.
Yeah, you have like a driven personality, you know, and that's part of it. So you never, when is the first time you actually went hunting? Do you know?
At Dirt Now.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So like with all of us, that's the first time. You never went as a kid?
I mean, I'd never been.
Yeah, actually.
Never once.
I think I remember her making a comment that one of our first hunts was her first
Oh, that's
hunt.
right. We were dating. Yeah, we went.
We did go one time in college. Again, one time. I got asked to go over Christmas break, and she went with me, and she said, "This is my first."
Like, I
hunt."
have that picture printed out. Like, I was so happy.
Yeah.
I took a picture of us. We didn't see a thing, but
So
it was like finally my dream.
What was it that got you interested in it? Like at first, like when you were a kid, why were you interested in hunting?
So like we always grew up camping. I mean, we fished all the time. So like catfish and brim and stuff like that. So like I loved being outside and like I loved just the outdoors. I mean, we can talk about it more later, but like even today, me and Jacob hunting, like we kind of joked like any kind of animal that we can see, or like I'm always asking him like, oh, well, how do you know this track from this? Like one, I think I like to just learn. Like I do think I'm kind of nerdy in that, but like I just love creation. And two, I think it's just like I feel closer to God when I'm outside. But yeah, I think I just fishing and camping was like almost close enough, and again knew enough people who were doing it that it was like I would love to get to do that.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah, it is fun taking you because you're like very what'd you say the other day, like inquisitive or intuitive or whatever. Like one time we were walking around in the woods, it was me and Blakelee and Mike last year when we were turkey hunting. And Blakelee stopped us, and she was like, will you quiz me on these trees? Like, what these trees are? I was like, sure, never been asked that before.
Yeah.
I still have those pictures in my phone. I like went back and labeled them. We did that the other day. too.
Yeah.
That's awesome, though.
I didn't have that, and I think we were talking about this the other day. I just like when we're walking around one day with my kids, I don't want to be like, oh yeah, did you hear that? Or them say like, hey, what was that? And I'm like, I don't know. I want to be like, oh, that's a tree frog. Or like, oh, that's a pissed off squirrel. Like, I want to know. Or today, I'm like, oh, we hear crows, so that must mean X, Y, Z. Like, to understand it and be able to, like, truly, I guess, like, be a woodsman. Like, truly be able to know your stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, are y'all more... I'm just curious. We're going to talk about the hunts and everything here in a minute, but I'm just curious. Do you like deer or turkey more?
It's a good question. You want to answer?
I've been talking a lot.
Oh, I mean, it's kind of the point of
It's a podcast.
You know, it's funny. In general, I think that part of what's made, I'll answer your question, but part of what's made this so difficult last 3 years is you get a little bit of imposter syndrome and not from a negative perspective of, I can't close the deal. Like I'm close. I'm doing the right things. I feel like I'm in the right positions. I'm studying the land, but I'm just not closing the deal. And so it's been hard to answer that because my heart tells me I can't like either because I'm not seeing the success with it. But I think turkey is probably more exhilarating for me just because obviously y'all have got 600 episodes of guys with strategy and setup and annual patterns and all of that stuff for deer. But to me, and may frustrate some people with this comment, but to me it is a lot of like right place, right time. Like you got to know where to be and you got to hope that the timing matches up. With turkey today, I mean, last week for us, yeah, you got to know the general vicinity, but if you can just get a gobble off the roost, you're cooking. And now it's all strategy, it's movement, you're having a conversation with the animal, and I just think that is, to me, what makes it more exciting. So I would lean turkey.
Yeah, I remember actually hunting with you guys on our old club, and we were talking about that. It was like one of the first time I took y'all turkey hunting. And that's where, when we were talking about it, we were talking about hunting like a bobcat, and that's where that phrase kind of came from. We use it all the time now. But that's what it is. Like you're not sitting in a tree waiting on a deer, which I love to do, but there's just something about slipping through the woods and crawling, as Blakelee did today.
Yeah.
And things like that that's just fun. But Blakelee, what about you? Turkey or deer?
Well, I've never killed a buck, and I haven't killed a turkey yet. So I feel kind of dumb for being on the podcast to begin with because like I don't really have any notches in my belt, but
That's the point.
I know, but it's a bad reason to be famous or being a failure. But anyway,
Oh my god!
like nobody's ever like,
Today
oh,
we brought Blakelee on the podcast to talk about how awful she is at hunting.
roast me.
Here, hang on, let me pull out my list.
But for turkey, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I got to work on calling and stuff, but I hate being cold, and I freeze most of deer season, so that does suck to kind of like sit there and be cold the whole time.
But I do think we have a good sample size. It's not like we're one or the other. I mean,
Oh God, no.
for the last 3 years, of the 100% of opportunities to hunt, we've probably hunted 95% of them. So we're out there for both. I just think there's probably preference.
Yeah, I
towards
mean,
turkey.
last year when I had my sinus surgery, I went
Yeah.
a week later.
Yeah.
Did like 5 miles that day.
Yeah, it was impressive.
down
I was
back.
telling Sam about that. I'm like, she kept up too. Like, never complained. I was telling Sam that I always take people on a death march. I didn't do that to you on purpose,
No, that's
but
fine.
kind of happened anyways. But like, go on like a long walk and see if they complain a lot. And if they do, then it's like maybe don't take that person a whole bunch more because
Yeah.
they're gonna complain. But no, like I said before, though, the reason that I think it's good to have you guys on here is I think y'all are relatable. Like most people who hunt are in y'all's situation. I mean, I was in your exact situation. Like I hadn't killed a buck on public land at least for years when I first started. I mean, it took a long time. Same thing with the turkeys. For me to kill my first, like sure enough, longbeard by myself literally took. I'd have to go back and look. I think it was 6 years.
Yeah.
But I'd have to like go and find it. I'm pretty sure it was 6 years though. But it just takes a long time. We get messages from people all the time who've been hunting for years. We got a message from one guy who's been turkey hunting for 12.
Oh, wow.
Hasn't killed one yet.
Dang.
But he loves it and he keeps going and,
Yeah.
and keeps going and keeps going. So you can't go off the whole social media. Everybody and their grandma has killed a turkey this year and they're posing with it. Like that's not the reality.
Yeah.
And if you actually look at like game check statistics for whatever states, like Tennessee did a study a couple years ago, the amount of people who actually kill a turkey, I can't remember, it was like maybe half of people that hunt actually kill a turkey every year.
Yeah.
And the people that kill multiple turkeys, it's like a very, very small percentage of people who actually do that every year. Most people, it's not reality.
Yeah.
Like you're out there, you're hunting an animal that is really good at not getting eaten by everything else out there trying to get it.
Yeah.
And it wants to live, and it's really good at avoiding you. So, like, you're just not going to be successful most of the time.
Yeah.
Well, and I think obviously the guy that has been hunting for 12 years and hadn't gotten a bird, the goal for him is to get a bird. But I also think I have to remind myself, what is the goal? I mean, of course, we all want that wall hanger or we want the 12-inch beard or whatever. But at the same time, I'm thankful for the journey we've had because it's helped me appreciate hunting more. And you could make an argument. Yeah, some people are going to be like, well, buddy, 12 years, like, are you learning? I would almost argue the the persistence and the perseverance that it takes to continue to go out there and do that for 12 years, that's almost more impressive to me than killing 12 birds in 12 years to a certain extent, right? And so I just think that while I would not have wanted the tough sledding we've had, I think that it's made me so much more appreciative. Like that bird last week meant so much more to me having toughed it out for 3 years than it would have if I'd have gone out there 2 hunts into my hunting career, if you will, and tagged.
Well, I think too, it like so many people, especially like girls, like my friends will be like, I just couldn't kill something. Like you just want to go out there and kill it. It's like, to your point, it's not just about killing. Like obviously, I can't wait till I kill a turkey or kill a buck. But it's this, you do have to be in love with it. One, because you have to be insane to continue to put yourself through that, like, lack of sleep, the discipline of, like, staying locked in. Like, you're not going to be able to be a good hunter if you're sitting on your phone the entire time. You're not going to be able to be a successful hunter if you're only going once a month. I mean, the season doesn't even allow that. And being, like, locked in, like, even looking at Onyx, like, thinking through strategies, like, a lot goes into it. Not to mention, even, like, it sounds silly, but sacrifices, like, the social stuff you have to give up. I mean, it takes a lot out of you. But I think not having success automatically also makes you fall in love with hunting and not killing, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And last thing I'll say is I have developed a reputation with, like, coworkers and stuff as the hunter. Like, they know I'm going to be out there hunting. I love it. I do kind of feel bad for Blakelee because I don't know if it's that she's a female or whatever, but they just assume that she doesn't. And I mean, of the 95 that I said percent that we've been out there, she's been out for 100% of that. And she's hunting by herself. She's doing her own thing. She's not just sitting with me. So I think it's impressive because I think I get the rep of being a hunter and she's just kind of there. And it's the exact opposite. Like she hunts harder than just about anybody I know. We just got to close the deal. So.
Well, I like to do it. It's like I told Jacob last week when I was going with him, and a turkey was coming, yada yada, and he was like, "Oh, you need to move over here because I'm in a better spot." And I was like, "I mean it. Like I'm just happy to be here. Like I really am happy to be here. I need a good nap once I'm sitting down, but I love a good nap. But I am happy to be here. Like it's just, I don't know. It sounds so cliche, but it really is like." Obsessive. Like it kind of just takes you over, and I'm like, I used to hate the winter. Like Christmas was over and I wouldn't be like depressed, but I'd be like, man, this sucks. Like there's nothing going on until like you can go to the beach, and it's like I don't have one season that I hate anymore. Like every month, every season is so fun, and it's like it's just different. I don't know. I look back and I've just been happier ever since I started hunting too. Not that I wasn't unhappy, but it just brings so much joy and like satisfaction. Even not here I am, like even not killing stuff. It's just, I mean, I've killed a doe, but like it's just, I don't know. It brings more like purpose to it 100% brings purpose to your life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice having that thing that you can always, I've heard people explain it. We're like getting way deeper with this than I thought we would. but like when you're hunting, it gives you something to always look forward to.
Yes.
It gives you something to push against and kind of test yourself. And I mean, that does help. I think it helps with your mental health for real.
Absolutely.
And it just, I think it makes you a more well-rounded person.
For sure.
Well, it helps with your mental health until you go 3 seasons without killing. All of a sudden you're a basket case. But no, you're exactly right. There's a book called Wild at Heart. And it's written for men, but it's got application. And one of the things to women, one of the things it talks about is a man needs an adventure to chase, essentially, an adventure to run or something. And hunting's my adventure. You know, like we don't have sports or whatever. Most men, they do their 9 to 5 and then they go home. And in some ways, it's kind of getting back to your roots as a man of just going out and roughing it, you know. And I think that's important for anybody, but for men as well.
Yeah, definitely. All right. You got anything on that before we start talking about hunt?
Well, the only thing I was going to add is talking about like all the failures. And I say failures just like close calls, missed opportunities, stuff like that. I go back to a quote that Travis Murray, one of our past guests, mentioned on the podcast, which he talked about failures, the seasoning that makes success taste so sweet. And it's so true. Because as we're going to talk about here in a second, Sam killing your first turkey, That was your first turkey, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was thinking, but I was double checking. But like,
You're teetering on like Andrew now.
maybe you killed him.
No.
Abuse.
It was the first.
You know, some people kill them with the truck too. You know, they get down the highway. But again, it's like you have all these times that you've hunted and y'all hunted and hunted and hunted to finally have that success and put your hands on a turkey and also be able to eat it too.
Yeah.
That there's something about getting your first of whatever it is that is so rewarding. And it kind of goes back to that whole quote of failure's the season that makes success taste so sweet. And it's so true.
Yeah.
I definitely think to your point, like getting to eat, like, I mean, we still have meat left over from the doe I killed. I mean, we've eaten on his turkey twice, and me and Jacob were talking about that today. It is just like such a joy too. It's kind of like we always talk about we were born in the wrong time. Like, I wish we were born like in the West, like so many years ago, to where like life was simple, like you lived on the land, like it was being able to like eat what you harvest too. It's just like, this is what we were made to do. You know, it's just like simplifies everything and I don't know, gets you in touch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you were made for times such as these, man. Yeah, we're raising Piper like that too. By the way,
Yeah.
like she's always gonna know where her food comes from.
That's awesome.
And everything. So, what were you about to say?
I was going to totally make a joke that was going to derail that.
Say it.
Oh, we need it.
Say
Come on,
it.
we got
I
that.
mean, like she's talking about like, you know, Blakely's talking about, you know, she wished it was so many years ago living out in the West, like back when people were dying from bows and arrows and gunshots.
I was about to say my mind
no
immediately.
modern medicine.
All those
my brain went to get scalped by a Comanche.
Yeah, all those blackberries she goes to pick, and then she gets mauled by a grizzly bear.
Yeah.
Pretty unfortunate.
If that's the way I go out eating organic, nature grown blackberries,
And getting
that's
eaten-
pretty good.
Yeah, bears
Organically.
eating organic too.
Exactly right.
Anyways, I just had to put that out there.
Oh, there should be a lot of that. All right, let's talk about killing a turkey, man.
Yeah.
We had a good time. So we went to. Oh,
It was after Monday's episode.
we have to talk about Florida. I completely forgot about Florida. We got some good Florida story. I can see the look on Blakely's face right now.
There's not much to talk about, but it was fun.
There's plenty to talk about. So we started off turkey season actually hunting with you guys. We all went to Florida.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what podcast we did on that. I think it was just me and him kind of recapping it about him missing and everything. But that was...
Wow.
I'm just
Under
saying
the
what
bus.
happened. I don't know. What do you want me to say?
The close
opportunity.
encounter.
I really hope someone
Close
in the
encounter.
comments is throwing strays at you because you dish them out, brother.
Don't worry. I get the comments from time to time.
All right.
So
Probably makes him feel better. He's like, I'm a tough guy.
It's actually kind of payback for the time he missed
look,
his biggest buck ever on camera.
that was I was gonna bring that up. I'm glad you brought that up. I give Jacob so much crap because a couple years ago, y'all saw the video probably. I missed a buck 4 times. I missed the same buck 4 times, like a giant deer.
Yeah.
Missed him 4 times on camera, and like we put that video out. And dude, you ought to, if you wanted some laughs, just go scroll through those comments.
You know, you could have turned the
YouTube
camera
was-
off after 2 misses, right?
YouTube was not kind to me. He was running the camera. There was no chance.
Oh,
of
there was no
turning it
chance.
off.
Jacob was like
Oh,
zooming
yeah.
in. He's like, see how
He even when we
sad.
got down, he went and he filmed all the empty shell casings under the tree.
I forgot about that part.
Yeah, me too.
And so I'm a little traumatized from that.
Yeah.
So I'm passing it on.
No, that's fair. It's deserved.
So Florida, what was y'all's experience in Florida, just generally speaking?
Kind of going back again, not to be deep the whole time, but I had never hunted public before ever. Before our deer hunt over in public land, Alabama.
Yeah, you almost said.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna go there. I'll show the coordinates on Onyx in a minute.
I was waiting. I was like, God, I'm gonna have to go back and edit this.
No, but I just remember feeling like that was yet another step in just learning being public land. Not that there's anything wrong with hunting private, but going into a place sight unseen, at least for me, and trying to figure it out. And so Florida was absolutely beautiful. Best thing I can liken it to is hunting a jungle, because that's what it was. Yeah, I mean, it was really tough sledding. I remember at the checkout board, the guy was like, man, if you even hear a gobble right now, you're going to be doing something right. And I know through y'all's help, the last place we set up on the last day, we heard easily 50 gobbles and just couldn't make a play on them. But again, that's what I'm saying is when we get to the story about the turkey I killed, our movements, our decision making, I think if that would have happened before Florida, I think there's a chance I walk out of Florida with a bird. Solely because I was basically frozen when we heard those gobbles in fear of spooking, messing it up. And I think I just let fear get the better of me because we should have made plays on those birds. And so while it was frustrating to go down there without a kill, it was just yet another learning tool. And of course, you were with me to help for the bird in Alabama. But I think part of me killing that bird in Alabama was those reps that I took in Florida. And so we did have some success. We caught up a Jake for Blake. And unfortunately, he came in hotter than any bird I've ever seen come in. And she just was set up at 12 o'clock, and he came in at 11 or whatever. And so by the time she tried to move, I think she flipped her safety off and he was gone.
Yeah.
So
I was hidden behind like a big palm, but even then I was like, if I kill Jake, like Andrew and Jacob are gonna ride me so hard.
No, we would not. That's ridiculous.
Well, I remember, to give you context to our Florida hunt, we get to the Airbnb, y'all have hunted, we've not. And Jacob asked, he's like, so y'all gonna take a Jake? And my first response was, didn't know I could. My second response was, no, we're here to kill longbeards. By about day 2, not even, I was like, I'll take a Jake for sure.
Yep.
I'll take seeing a Jake, let alone killing one.
We had set up that day like pitch black. God, we had walked how long to get to that spot? Well over like 35 minutes.
Yeah, it was 2 miles
It was a long
easy.
time. And Jacob had been like, saw like the palms and like set them around you. And when the sun finally came up, it looked like I was like in some kind of ritual. I mean, like I had stuff staked like all around me.
Some kind of ritual.
It looked like something weird. But there was a big tree, like a big palm that was covering me up. And Sam had texted me and he was like, I heard one gobble. And I was like, all right. He's like, be ready. I'm like, I literally haven't left my stance. Like my gun, I never put it down because I was going to be ready. And I see this thing flash out of the corner of my eye, and a Jake had walked in. When I say running in. Like, I had no chance to even move. I mean, like, I was set up. My gun was on my knee, ready to go, where I could literally turn. I literally see out of the corner of my eye. My hand's already on the gun, so it's not like I'm making any rash movements. And I literally click off the safety, and he flies. So I didn't even have an opportunity, even if I wanted to. Yeah. I was kind of hoping that if I turned the safety off, like he would come back and walk across. Like you're sitting there and you're like, okay, what can I do in the moment, but also to think forward? Because I'm like, if I just move, he's going to see me. But
yeah, I think one of the highlights of the trip was Blakelee taking one of her famous naps. And she got up off the ground. And,
okay, I'm glad you brought this up because I was like, should I bring it up?
I kind of.
Oh, no, you'll remember.
You'll remember.
So she gets up and she looks down, and there's
I was dip spit.
No,
That's
yeah.
what we're gonna say.
So she gets up and there's something white, and it's toilet paper.
I'm like, what is all this white stuff I've been laying in?
And then that toilet paper, something brown, and she goes, Sam, do you think this is what I think it is? And I just didn't have the heart. And I was like, no. I mean, that's
just lied right to your wife's
that's
face.
Somebody's dip spit.
I knew he was lying.
Naturally, that's somebody's dip spit.
Give it a smell test.
I was like, why would
Scratch
I'm like,
dip spit? Where'd you come up with like toilet paper and dip?
He was just trying.
No, I knew it was completely a lie.
He's trying to be
I was
nice.
just hoping I could get by with it.
I'm just curious, like, how did your mind, like, that's the first thing your mind...
Because it was
Because,
brown
some people,
streak.
like some people will
It was
throw,
literally brown skid marks.
some people will throw like a napkin in a cup and spit into it, and so I just thought I could sell that.
I like looked at him. I was like, "You really think so? Why would they not take a cup?" He's like, "Well, water ball. Maybe it was plastic. It could be kind of loud." I'm like,
Yeah. It wasn't a good lie, but it was the best I had at the moment. So
I'm like, I've been laying in this for like 3 hours.
she was taking a siesta now. Like there's no question.
All in the hair, clothes.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, just
piece of it stuck.
I mean, it's just embedded in there.
You want to smell? It might still be there.
But yeah, I mean, it was.
But yeah, I don't hunt hard. I don't contribute.
That's how sick for it Blakelee is.
Yeah.
She'll sit wherever.
Whatever, Jake. Truly, there's like not much I wouldn't do at this point to get a turkey.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to take me, please, wherever the camera is. If anybody, God, if you hear this.
So it might be the off season, but we're still always thinking about whitetails. And if you're looking to get more mobile this fall and you're looking at saddle setups, the two most common designs you're gonna see are a single panel design or a double panel design. They both have their advantages and disadvantages. A single panel design is gonna be more comfortable right out of the box, while a double panel design is gonna be much more adjustable and customizable to your fit. We always say on the podcast, saddles are kind of like boots. Different people are going to like different things. As a general rule of thumb, I found that heavier set guys typically like a single panel more than they like a double panel. But other than that, it's just really a matter of preference. I personally use both of these saddles. This is the Method 2 from Latitude, and this is the Lone Star from Latitude. I will say that the Method 2 is really nice because it's a two-panel design. It's almost like you have a built-in back band that'll take a little bit of pressure off your back when you're sitting down. But if you're just getting into saddle hunting and you want something that's extremely comfortable right out of the box, the Lone Star is going to be your go-to. It has an advanced hip pinch reduction system in it, so right out of the box, this is going to be very comfortable, and you're not going to have the hip pinch issues that a lot of people have when they first get into saddle hunting. So if you want to be more mobile this fall, check out latitudeoutdoors.com to see these two saddles and a bunch of other mobile hunting gear. We've enjoyed them a lot, and I think you're going to enjoy them too. All right, so if you turkey hunt enough, you're going to have to hunt on a windy day like today. We got out here this morning and didn't think it was going to be windy, but it's super windy. On days like today, I love having a crystal call in my vest. This is a Dixie Hen crystal from Houndstooth. The reason I like a crystal call in particular is because when it's not windy, I can call really, really soft on this call and it sounds great. But when it's windy like this, I can get really loud, and it does both of those volumes really, really well. It's something I feel like is a little bit unique to a crystal call. I really like it. It does both ends of the spectrum great. You can get this call at houndstoothgamecalls.com. Use the promo code Southern25 to get a discount. And make sure you use that discount code because it helps out the show and you get a discount.
All right, guys, we got another in the field tip for you today. One thing we're doing right now while we're out here scouting is looking at overlooked spots and overlooked by us. One thing we always do while we're in the field is using our tracker on OnX Hunt to be able to not only see where we've gone, but where we haven't been, and that's what we're gonna go look at. So today, we're actually gonna work up into a drainage that we haven't been to before. We've walked all around it, but we haven't been up in it. And again, it's a very important factor of using the tracker so you can see where you have been and where you haven't. A lot of times those places you haven't been is your overlooked spots. So if you wanna try OnX Hunt, you can download OnX Hunt today and use the code Southern and save 20% on your membership.
Yeah, so I mean, but overall learned just a ton. It was great to hear y'all's perspective, what y'all were seeing. Had to get out of our comfort zone, that's for sure. Obviously, Florida's pretty flat, so it wasn't a strenuous hike in, but I mean, we're talking 4:30 in the morning, walking through grass is, up waist high in some.
The snakiest place I've ever hunted,
So
period.
snaky.
And you made a comment on y'all's recap of you only see a snake when you're looking for a snake. And I guess that was God's way of protecting us because I had just made up my mind that we weren't going to see one, which is ill-advised, I guess, in Florida. But we made it out and didn't see a single snake.
Got a lot of bruises from the cypress knees. I mean, those
Yeah.
things
Oh, yeah.
banged us
Fall?
up.
Well, and then
They were
one
literally
time,
hitting like my knees and my thighs. Where we were? Oh gosh, they were everywhere.
well, we walked
you
through
laughing?
I don't know the proper term, but we were walking through like the short palms. Mm-hmm. And the reason we had to do that is because we were going to walk straight down to the place that you had told us to go. And I was walking through, and then I look up, and 30 yards in front of me is a guy in a full-on ground blind. And to me, the only way he got in there was going the illegal way that we later found out you can't access from that way. So anyways, we then had to, I felt bad to just walk straight through, so we tried to go around him. Bad mistake. I mean, it was a 40, any turkey within a half a mile radius was like, yeah, I'm gonna head out. Because we were crashing and...
You couldn't even see your feet. It was so thick.
Yeah,
It
so
was terrible.
that had a similar experience to you when you just stood up on the log and rode out until daylight. So that was in broad daylight, thank God. But, so yeah, I mean, it was crazy to say this because it was pretty tough sledding, but I would go back tomorrow. It was really fun.
That was a fun trip. When we were on our way back, me and Jacob were talking. We're like, yeah, we should come back next year.
Yeah.
Because we were pleasantly surprised. We were on turkeys the whole time. Mm-hmm. But anyways, yeah, Florida was really good. And then this season, y'all been hunting just y'all's club a bunch.
Yeah.
The new club.
The new club. the land of milk and honey.
Yeah.
I'm talking about nice club.
Yeah.
So yeah, y'all have a game rich environment, and you missed opening weekend, right? Opening day.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. Thanks,
Sorry.
Andrew.
We came back from Florida,
Yeah.
and then that happened.
Yeah, so it was opening day afternoon, actually. We got in late because I had some work stuff, and probably got in at, I don't know, 4:15, 4:30. And about 5 o'clock, I was just soft calling periodically, and I had one respond. And so you got to understand where we were, very open. And so I was actually using a little tripod, little ground blind. And so we were tucked up behind that, felt obviously secure. And I mean, he's just every 2 or 3 minutes, he's calling out looking for us. And so I'm looking through my blind, and I finally see him. And he's at 80 yards. So obviously not going to take that shot, but again, just ignorance. I mean, when I say that was the first turkey I'd ever seen.
It was the
Ever.
first turkey. I mean, I had seen that Jake. That Jake in Florida was the first turkey I'd ever laid my
I
eyes
didn't
on
see
that
it.
wasn't dead. I've seen your dead ones. That was the first time I had ever seen a true gobbler, and he was like got to see him fanned out, and I was so stunned.
Well, and that was before the fan. So we thought there was one turkey, and I saw him at 80 yards. I mean, I had safety off and everything. I was like, I'm about to just send a Hail Mary. And then I was like, something tells me that's really bad for the obvious reasons. But it was just the adrenaline. You know, you see your first gobbler. He is not necessarily in shooting range, but is a stone's throw. I feel really excited about this. And so I have safety off. I mean, I've got red dot on him, everything, just waiting for him to come. And what I later realized, I think he was on the other side of a creek. And so it would have been a terrible shot. Well, I have safety off, and all of a sudden, I hear another gobble, and it's from maybe 50 yards. The whole time
Like rattled you.
we
like, I was
we had
like,
heard two gobblers. Looking back, we had heard two turkeys, but the way that they started calling, I thought he was just moving on us, because it would start at my 11 o'clock, then go to my 1, and I see the 1 o'clock, and then I hear the 11. I'm like, whoa, we've got two toms.
When you say calling, you mean gobbling, right?
Yeah.
Like they're gobbling.
Yes, yes. And yeah, I was not calling. They were gobbling. And there was a tree in front of us, probably 35, 40 yards, and it kind of V'd. And I see him behind the tree, and all I can see is red. I mean, his wattle is what I saw first. Well, then to add insult to injury, because I'm already so nervous, he fans out completely. And then to make matters worse, he turns head on. I mean, he is full frontal on me. And Blakelee was behind the blind with me. And, I mean, I'm literally a leaf.
I've never seen him like this in my entire life.
Ever.
Like,
I mean,
I literally was like, is he having a panic attack?
I mean, it was like Luke Bryan, like, is he down? Is he down? And, I mean, I don't
Like,
know what,
Sam was literally like,
I couldn't steady
I
myself.
was like, are you okay? He's like, don't move.
Well, so what's worse is he comes out from behind the tree. Of course, I'm not paying attention to anything other than fan and waddle. And she goes, his beard's so long.
She pulled a Jacob with your deer. That's the biggest buck you'll ever shoot.
I mean,
It was huge.
yeah, thanks. And
He goes, thanks a lot.
I was like, that is not what I want to hear when I'm trying to kill my first. I said that. Like, I don't want to hear this
He
when I'm.
was really pissed off.
And so I'm shaking like a leaf, and then again playing it back. I end up taking the shot. He's facing me 40 yards, and I pull off. And the reason I pull off is because the way that the blind was set up, I had to rest more on the blind than my knee. And so when I pulled off, I sprayed. But then the way he responded post shot, I thought I did hit him, because he turned around and then just kind of sat there and then walked a little bit. And so I'm like, okay, well maybe I injured him. So I get ready to shoot again, and he takes off, and I don't know if it's because of the canopy or what, but he flies 20 yards and then comes back down. So I am on him like white on rice. Like, I am hightailing it, trying to get to him. Well, then of course he starts running. I take an ill-advised shot, and I get back to the blind, and I told her I'm ready to leave and I'm done. I'm not.
He's like, I'm not hunting anymore.
I'm not hunting anymore. I mean, it was
I'm not gonna lie.
it was pretty bad, because I don't know. You work for 3 years and you have what I would assume for most a textbook situation. I mean, he is fanned out, so my surface area was smaller too, for the head at least. But I just felt like that was my one opportunity, and I'm never gonna get it again. And so, ended up missing him at 40 yards, and legitimately felt like there's no point in coming back out for the rest of the season. And that was opening day. Once I cooled off, I realized, okay, we've been doing this for 2 years, didn't see a bird, and day one, I'm calling one in. And so there was a lot of moral victories that came out of that, which set up later success. But it was a tough 2 hours for me to chew that,
That was a tough, week and a half.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you're saying the first 2 years that we were in our other club, we never even saw a turkey. And then opening day, we had the stint in Florida. We literally come back, and then boom, we sit there and we see 2 gobblers. And so it's just kind of like, dang, we finally got an opportunity and trashed it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind saying I was in tears. Just because, again, you work so hard for something, you get something served up on a silver platter, and you choke it, So, anyways, that was tough, but it was good at the same time. Learned a lot. So
It happens. Yeah, when you told me you missed one, I was like, oh man, but I was almost more like, sweet. You called up a bird.
Yeah.
I was pretty excited.
called up 2.
Yeah,
So
that's what I was saying. I was like, okay, cool. Opening day, you got a long runway ahead of you on opening day. It's like, sucks that. I mean, I messed one up on opening day too. I didn't miss him, but I mean, I spooked him, and he was at 40 yards. So, it happens. And then we were trying to line up the whole rest of the season a hunt, and either we were gone or traveling somewhere, or we had Piper's birthday and stuff lined up. And then finally we got an opportunity to hunt with you guys. And so we all 4 were down there, and we were talking to y'all, and we're like, hey, we need to split up. Teams of 2, go to where y'all been hearing the turkeys before. And, if 2 of us are hearing more a bunch of birds, the other 2 can come over and go. And so when we got out there that morning, we went to a place that we'd actually scouted with you guys this past summer when y'all first got into the club. Mm-hmm. Or that me and Tiffany had come and scouted with you guys. And we get out there, and Jacob and Blakely go to the swamp, more towards the creek swamp area. We go out more towards, I guess it's like a cattle pasture. They have the cows in there. And we talked a little bit about what the place looks like last week, where it's Osage orange groves. They run cattle on it, a lot of shin to knee-high grass, a little bit of prairie on it. I mean, it's really cool property, especially for turkeys. And we get there on the roost, and by the time me and you stop and start listening, I look at my phone. I've already got a text from Jacob saying that they're gobbling. I'm like, crap. So, I mean, we were standing there for 2 minutes before we heard the first one?
Yeah.
And then they started lighting it up. There's a couple that were going after. So that's the area that y'all been hunting pretty much all season, right?
Yeah. I mean, we've really not strayed from that creek. Being a drier season so far, outside of some sporadic rain, we just felt like that was the place to go. But to that point, again, just learning, our creek for the most part is impassable. You have to go around it. You can't go through it. And so for the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season, we stuck to where I missed that first bird. And we kept hearing them roost. I went out the next weekend after I missed that bird, had another bird walk at 70 yards, walking east to west of me, and I just didn't take the shot because he was moving the entire time. And it dawned on us, okay, we got to close the gap. We can't just stay on the other side of the creek, because the likelihood of them coming over to us is not very high. So we mapped it. I mean, it was a solid 30-minute, 45-minute walk initially when we got over there. And then we got in late one morning and heard them in a different part on the other side of the creek. And that's when things really started to click for us. That led to that hunt for all 4 of us.
Well, I think historically, too, there's really only one other guy that hunts in the club. And he had said he had only ever seen turkeys where Sam had his encounter on opening day. That's where his pictures were from his cams, everything. So he was kind of I've only ever seen him over here. So that's kind of and we had seen on our cameras turkeys where he went initially. So it wasn't even on our radar the other place. And then we started going over there, and it was every time we went over there, we're like finding more and more and more. And then even to like where me and Jacob hunted today, it's like not even remotely where we were on opening day. So just, I feel like this season, especially, maybe this is off topic, but I feel like we've just kind of like grown in our knowledge of like habitat, but also just because you see them on camera here, just because it makes sense doesn't mean that they're not another place.
Well,
and not getting in your head about like, I have to stay here, like being mobile.
Well, I think that's exactly what I was going to say is, I mean, of course, you can go out in the woods and waste time, but time spent methodically in the woods is never wasted. And the reason, I mean, I think you said it when we were out there after, when we'll get to it, but after the bird was dead, you made a comment of like, without you scouting, I probably would not have picked this part of the club to go hunt. And it just, that kind of clicked for me of this does not happen today if we're not out there in the off season or through deer season and really trying to, you know, put rubber to road, so to speak.
No, you're exactly right. Because when we were sitting there with the turkey, jumping ahead, you were saying like, because I called the turkey in, and you were like, does it not count if I didn't call it in or something like that? I was like, no, we wouldn't even be here if you didn't know that the turkeys were here. Because I wouldn't have hunted that spot. It wouldn't have been I maybe would have eventually worked my way over there, but
Sure.
If I had one day to go hunt your place, it is not the area that I would have picked, even though I've walked through it before, just because it's not like anything I've ever really hunted. But when you said that the turkeys were hanging out there and I was looking at the map at your neighbor's 2 properties, I was like, oh, I bet I know exactly what these turkeys are doing. Because south of you guys is a big ag field. I don't even know what's out there, but it's just a big open field with some little back corners that I'm like, they're going to those corners.
Yeah.
They got to be. And then your other neighbor's property on the other boundary is clearly well managed. I mean, you can tell from the map. He's got plots. He's got lanes cut through thickets. He burns. I'm like, they're going to be on that property too. And so when we went out there, there was one, I don't even know where it was, way far off, that was gobbling. And he was hammering really good. And then one gobbled, I don't know, 250 yards to our left. And I'm sitting here thinking, and he gobbled 4 or 5 times. And I'm like, we were just listening. And I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. And after he gobbled, like, I think it was probably after the 4th gobble, I was like, all right, we're going to go after him. And he was right in the area that we had scouted. Like, there's a little patch of big timber. And I'm looking at the map. I'm like, he has to be right there. Because they're not roosting in those little Osage orange trees. They're like 12 feet tall and bushy.
Right.
And so me and you go, and we start to try to swing on this turkey. And that terrain or that habitat's so weird because you can see so far through it, but it's like deceptively thick. You're standing there and you're like, well, I can't see but like 40 yards, but you take one step and you get like a crack where you can see 150 yards.
Yeah.
And I was telling you, I'm like, hey, we got to be super careful going through here because these birds they can see.
Yeah.
And so there was a point where we belly crawled. We weren't even like crawling up to the turkey. We were just trying to swing around on him. And I'm like, he's probably somewhere out here. And if we're not careful, he's going to catch us just going through one of those little cracks in all the thicket. And so as we're crawling, trying to get in position on the first turkey, another turkey starts gobbling.
Yeah.
And he starts acting a fool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, we were positioned. And another thing, sidebar, just if anybody is listening that is learning like we are, you've said it to her, you did it with us. When we listened together to start, we were only 10 yards apart, maybe 15. And I was hearing birds that you weren't hearing and vice versa. And I think while we were trying to make a play on that first bird, our positioning, we were thinking about where to go, how to set up, looking at the map. And I was like, I think I just heard another one. And then we both heard it again and again and again and so on. And so we kind of just said, he's ready to die. Let's go get him. And we just kind of abandoned that bird because he shut up. And so anyways, that was just something I learned that day too, of how 10, 15 yards can make all the difference when listening.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened because when we swung on the one that was close to us, he gobbled maybe 2 times on the ground.
Yeah.
And then he quit gobbling. But as we were trying to position on him, that's when the other one that you're talking about started going. And that's when we crawled because we had to cross basically I don't want to call it a pasture because it's not a pasture because it's got all those trees in it.
Right.
But it kind of looks like a grove or a pasture or whatever. And that we had to go past that first turkey to get to this other one. I'm like, I don't want to bump him in case we want to come back to him. And that's when we crawled.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we go to crawling, and dude, that bird, he's far off, but you can hear him way out there, and he's just like, pow, pow, pow. I mean, just like that, going.
I think he doubled a couple of times.
Yeah, when he double gobbled, I was like, Sam, let's go. Like, I got blood in my eyes. If they double gobble on their own, I'm like, it makes me irrational. So, so we get over there and we crawl up and we get in position and everything. And I'm just curious, like, after we did that, was there anything about that like struck you as weird or like something that you maybe wouldn't have done?
About getting to that spot?
Yeah, about how we just moved on that turkey or how we had to crawl or anything like that?
Just in general, I mean, I told y'all before the hunt that it's very open. I mean, because you hadn't laid eyes on the property before that hunt. And so it's common sense, but I just would not have thought, to your point, we're sitting behind a bush, essentially, where we can't see but 20 yards. You take one step, well, now there's a 400-yard lane where a bird can see you. And so it was just the method to getting there. I mean, we probably traveled 300 yards, and it probably took us 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I know you got to take things slow, especially after daybreak, but I just would not have been my, especially with one goblin that much, I probably would have started sprinting towards him out of excitement. And so I think just the method of getting on your hands and knees, even just to travel 10, 15 yards to where you can get behind another brush, I wouldn't have thought about that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's the one thing that stuck out to me.
Yeah, when we got up there, I was afraid that bird was going to get in your neighbor's ag field.
Yeah.
And where he was gobbling, he was on the line. I was like, I don't know if he's in the field already or not.
Yeah.
And when we got up there and we got positioned, and I wanted to get in like the kill spot before we made a call to him because I'm like, I bet he's just going to come to us.
Right.
And I only called. How many times did I call at that bird? One
Two,
time,
maybe two.
And it wasn't. I didn't cut at him or anything.
No.
I just basic yelped and some clucks. And I think he double gobbled at the yelps I did. Mm-hmm. I think I clucked a couple times and he didn't answer. And then I yelped and he double gobbled. And then I clucked and he double gobbled again or something. It was obnoxious, whatever he did.
Yeah, I mean, it got to the point, and I say this seriously, part of the reason I like turkey hunting more is because, and I'm sure people have been hunting for 40 years, they feel this way. You hear that first gobble, and it just does something to you. It can be 500 yards off, and you're like, today's a good day. Mm-hmm. Like, days made just by hearing that. Mm-hmm. That turkey gobbled so much that it lost its effect on me. Not that I didn't care, but it was almost like okay, I'm going to worry about how I'm getting positioned. I'm not really worried about listening acutely to what he's doing. Yep. And I think it was just because of the frequency. Hindsight, I need to be locked in. But I mean, I don't think it's a stretch to say that he gobbled 200 times.
No, it's not. It's definitely not. Because I was trying to count for a while, and I was like, I'm not going to count.
Yeah. And I remember you could definitely tell he was getting progressively closer. And the way I was set up, we were both on a tree together. And my 12 o'clock, he was probably coming in at 10:30, 11. And then he was swinging around to that field, which was unfortunate for us because property line. But it got to the point where I was set up I was able to move, and I set up at 1 o'clock. Field was to my 2, and we both saw him in the field.
Well, he was coming fast too, because for a while when he first gobbled back at us, he kept gobbling over there. Like when he responded, he kept gobbling and gobbling and gobbling, and then he shut up for a second. And I think you asked about him shutting up. I was like, he's coming. Yeah, like, he's probably coming. And then he gobbled again, and he had cut the distance in half. And I was like, and he was still pretty far away, but he gobbled, and he was definitely closer and more to the right.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, get ready, he's coming. And then I just hear the safety click off. I was like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and not to story hop, but again, learning. So after I missed that bird, the next week I went out by myself. And I think part of the creek was the obvious hazard. But I think I learned from you that day I called way too much for the bird that I saw. I mean, he would respond, and then I didn't want him to lose interest. And so I wanted him to know I was still there, and I think I got myself hung up because I think he thought, well, I'm a hot hen, and so I'm going to just come to you. Mm-hmm. And so he was getting the responses he wanted, so he just hung out. He's like, I'm safe where I'm at. I'll let her come to me. And that was just something else I picked up on for this hunt, was that when he called and he cut you off, you just put it down and let him do the work. And next thing you know, again, not 2 minutes later, he's cut the distance in half.
Yep. So
I will say my setup was terrible on that tree. Terrible. The tree kind of leaned out, and so I'm just hunched over. And I'm serious. I was having mental thoughts like be a man. Be a man. Do not move. Do not ruin this for yourself. You worked too hard for this. Because we probably sat there 45 minutes or so.
Oh, yeah.
And so by minute 25, 30, I mean, my legs are shaking just because I'm trying to keep myself still and with the angle. And I had my gun up. He was in the field. We could see him. And I knew any move was going to end this for me. And so there was some coach speak going on in my head of like, you need to grow a pair a little bit. So
yeah, well, yeah. So we sat there for 45 minutes, and he came marching in. From the time we sat down to the time he was in front of us was like probably 15.
Yeah.
And then the next 25, 30 minutes, he stood there and gobbled in our face like 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Like again, to the point where it was just like, I was like, go away.
Yeah.
Like, go away so we can do something else. Because, like, we couldn't shoot him. Because when he popped up, like, he kept gobbling. It got to a point where he was walking and gobbling. And it was like, pow, pow, pow. And you just hear him swinging in real time. And then I knew, at this point, I'm like, he's in the field. And I'm, like, cutting my eyes over to the right, trying to see where he's at. And then you say, I see him. And then as soon as you say that, I see him. And there's that head coming. And he's just, like, swings right around. He's like 45, 50 yards across the property line, like in gun range across the property line.
Yeah.
And he stood there, dude, forever and just kept hammering he never strutted. He wasn't drumming. He was mad or something. I don't know. But he stood there and just kept gobbling. And I was like, don't move. Like, he might come slip under this fence. He might walk off and come back. Like, we don't know what he's going to do. We just got to give him a minute. And, man, it took him forever to go away.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It got to the point where I wanted him to go away too. One, because of my pain. Two, because he was on the other side of the property line. So I'm like, keep working down the field so that we can try to swing on you and get you on our side of the property. So that's when I say it kind of lost the effect on me. I was still so excited, adrenaline running, but it was almost like it's like I was being caged off. Like I was ready to, like the dog was ready to get loose, and I just couldn't. And so when he finally did walk off, because I think he waited a few minutes and then we heard him gobble, and he was very much so 150, 200 yards down the field. I'm not gonna lie, again, just grateful to be there. I mean, it is to the point where if I hear a gobble, if I see a turkey, if I see a nice buck during deer season, and it's not a shooting opportunity, when it's over, I'm upset, but I am like, thank you, Lord, that I had that opportunity to see that. But there was also that mix of, all right, it's just another miss, just another opportunity where we get the ball to the red zone and then we don't punch it in.
Sam was depressed after the turkey walked off because we were starting to get up. I was like, well, we'll go swing on him. He's like, that's the story of our season.
Yeah, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, it was negative
This
for
man
sure.
has had several encounters this year. 4?
Yeah, but up until that point, no shots, but no kills, and so it was. I felt like it was just another opportunity, missed.
Yeah.
So.
After he finally eased off, he kept gobbling, but he slowed it way down, and then the next time he gobbled, he was way down the fence line. And so I was like, well, let's just go swing way around, and maybe there's a creek that comes off y'all's property and runs into that ag field, and he was working the property line down to where that intersection's at. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, because it was only like 7:15 or 7:30 when this happened.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, when the sun gets up, he might want to get out of that field and he might go up in that bottom, and we can just swing around and be there when he's ready to come up into it. Plus, there's a bunch of turkeys in here that we know are there.
Right.
Yeah.
So we make this big loop, again, trying to stay 300 yards off that line because I'm like, those turkeys are probably congregated around that field. Make this big, giant loop, go around, and where that creek comes up off the property line, it goes up and it makes like almost a 90-degree turn. And there's an old food plot right there that's not planted anymore that I could see on the map. And before we came down, I was thinking that was a really good looking spot for a turkey to just hang out, because those bends, they like to get in those bends where they can see down both sides of the road, and it's a good place for them to strut. Mm-hmm. So we just eased up in there. No gobbling at this point. They've pretty much completely shut up. Or no, when we were swinging, I yelped real loud on the mouth call, and he gobbled. I think it's the same turkey. He gobbled like way down the property line. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, he ain't coming. So we swing way around. Despair. And then we get to that 90-degree bend, and we're standing there, and I look over, and there's like 10 hogs standing there at 20 yards. And Sam had this look in his eye, this bloodthirst, where he's like, I'm killing something today.
That was exactly right, because I'm not an idiot. I mean, I'm not an idiot, and I knew that I could potentially ruin a hunt if I take a shot on these hogs. But I'm like, well, you're already tearing up our property, and I just missed my opportunity, so something's gonna die today.
He looked at me and he's like,
maybe these hogs, but something's gonna die today.
Should we?
He had like 1,000-yard stare. He's like, should we?
It's like drool coming off his mouth. He's like,
I was like, no.
down, boy.
I'm caged up. I'm ready to be let loose.
That was all
Let me off that chain. Oh my gosh. So we ease up there, and this spot's interesting because there's massive oak trees right here. I mean, like, I don't even know how big diameter oak trees, but like you could probably, if you cut a hole in it, you could just about drive a car through the middle. I mean, huge. And so we're going to set up on one of those, and we couldn't find I think right where the good spot on the tree was for Sam to sit, there was like a burrow right there where something had dug up under the tree, and there was like bugs crawling out of it, and he didn't want to sit there. So I was like, this tree doesn't look great anyways. There's another oak a little bit further up, and what we were going to do is right where the bend in that road was, we weren't going to sit right in the bend because we had come down one road to get there, peeked around the bend, didn't see a turkey there. And so I was like, well, let's just sit looking down that road that we haven't walked yet.
Yeah.
And so we sit like 12 yards off the road, looking down the road. So we're looking parallel to the road, but we're off of it a good bit. And we sit there, and I'm like, we're going to sit here. It was 8 o'clock at this point. And I was like, we're going to sit here till 9. And I'm going to call a little bit, and mostly soft call. And then we're just going to listen and see if one just fires off by himself at some point during the morning, and then we'll go after him. Because again, this is the place we're expecting him to come to.
Right.
And we get there, and when we sit down, I yelp kind of loud on the mouth call, like just to see if one would gobble, if one was nearby. Yelp loud, nothing responds. Sit down, and I don't know, we sit there for like 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And the neighbor's property has, what's it called?
Orchard cannon.
Bird cannon?
I mean, that's kind of what it is. It's like a propane cannon they have in orchards that go off on a timer to scare birds off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this little cannon thing, I thought it was someone shooting a shotgun.
Me too.
It sounded like a dove field.
Like somebody took my bird.
Someone shoot. Well, and it went off right at gray light. I was like, what is that guy doing?
Yeah.
It's gobble time. And the turkeys were gobbling at it. I'm like, they're gobbling at some guy shooting a shotgun.
He's shooting one off the roost.
Yeah. And so we were sitting there, and 10 minutes had gone by, and I was clucking and purring on my ceramic call at this point, like real soft. And it wasn't like the chalk had worn off. Like I chalked my ceramic call, and the chalk had worn off, and it was slipping when I was trying to purr. So I get my chalk out, and I'm like drawing on the call, and right in the middle of that bird cannon goes off, and one hammers. I mean, like right there, like again, like you said earlier, like rattles you, and like he gobbles, and I just drop the chalk, and I get the striker, and I like cluck 2 or 3 times and purr kind of loud. And I just put the call down, and I was like, get ready, because it went off 2 more times, and he gobbled 3 times at that bird cannon right there in front of us. I mean, like, close.
Yeah.
And I was like, get ready. And I don't know, it was 30 seconds. And you're like, I see him.
What did you say? What was your thoughts when you heard him finally gobble? Like,
Well,
you hadn't heard a gobble in a while.
Yeah, so I had just settled into a Blakelee. Like I had leaned back,
Little
about to fall
siesta.
into a little siesta. I had my gun ready, but I just leaned back.
Made sure you weren't sitting on any toilet paper or anything.
Exactly.
God forbid it growing out.
Any chew tobacco. And cannon goes off. He gobbles. You may remember it differently. I think after the cannon, you called once and he cut you off.
They might have. I
And
don't know.
so, and again, this is just where knowing the property is so important because we almost set up facing east, We set up facing south.
Yep.
And I think we got lucky because, again, knowing the property, it bends again in the where it's been bush hogged. And I think he was just in that bend because I played it back in my head afterwards. There's no rhyme or reason why we shouldn't have been seen before we ever sat down because of how close that turkey was when we sat down. So the only logic I have is that he must have been walking maybe just 20 yards down that road and never saw us. But when he hit that, it's funny because grace of the Lord something, none of the jitters that I experienced opening day came over me. And I think it's what you just said, the speed of it all. That bird opening day, from the time I heard him gobble to the time I missed, was a 45-minute interval where he's calling every few minutes. And so there's just such a build-up to it that I think I just got so anxious. That cannon goes off to the time that I shoot is maybe 10 minutes, maybe. And I don't think it was that long.
No, it was like 2.5 minutes.
So the way I'm set up is I'm basically at the camera, so that's my 12 o'clock, and I position myself that way in case he continues to walk into the tree line, or if he comes up on the road, I should be able strategically to make a swing on him. And I know Andrew's behind me, and there's a point to me saying this. I didn't want him moving because we didn't know exactly where he was. We had him pinpointed, but we didn't know, and so I called out. And you didn't understand what I was saying when I said this, but I was whisper yelling. I was like, I see him. I see him. Like I was trying so hard to get Andrew to hear me. There's a point to me saying that in a minute. Because I thought I was just letting Andrew know so he didn't move. Well, I see him, and he's coming hot on the road. And I'm on my right knee, and I can't make a swing. I'm left-handed, and I need to move to my left knee. And again, this is just where it's not practice. Because I've not had that many birds to do this on. I had, shameless plug, I just finished reading 10th Legion, talked to you guys a ton, and I was like, all right, slow this down as best you can. And so he was walking, and I guess at some point Andrew is using me kind of as a human shield and looks behind me and sees him. And Andrew's like, shoot that bird.
Oh, well, at first I said, let him come.
Let him come. You said let him come.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing. But then you say, shoot him.
Oh, yeah.
Because I only have so many tree lanes before he's past me at this point, and now I'm shooting at his back, and it's a blown opportunity again. And so he's coming, he's at 50, he's at 40, and when he gets to 40, he crosses behind what's a pretty big tree, and without thinking, I just shift to my left leg. All the while, again, coaching myself through something I'm bad at is I want to look at what I'm doing, and I stayed bared down on the sight. Switch to my left, and when he comes through that third opening, Andrew's like, shoot that bird. Like, why have you not shot? So then Andrew gets to thinking.
Now I'm whisper yelling.
Yeah, he's yelling.
Yeah.
He's like,
I'm not being quiet. I'm
why
like,
is Sam not shooting this bird? Which he didn't know about the knee thing. I'll let you tell what you were doing when I finally.
Well, dude, he comes through the gap. Like, first of all, I see it's a longbeard. As soon as I see him, I'm like, it's a longbeard. He's coming, and he did exactly what I was hoping he would do. Because the way that we sat, like, again, you were sitting kind of facing down the road, and I was just sitting facing 90 degrees off into these big open hardwoods.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't think one's going to come from here, but I hope it doesn't, because there ain't nothing. You could shoot 200 yards through there with a rifle. But knowing just how turkeys are, I was like, he'll probably want to kind of come down this edge anyways, like walk that road to get, again, this is why I liked that spot with the 90-degree bend in that field, because I'm like, if that bird wants to get up here and see what's down that bend, he's got to walk right past us. Mm-hmm. That's what I wanted him to do. And so I didn't want him to like pinpoint us. And that's the other reason also I didn't want to sit right in the bend of the field and call from right there, because I didn't want him to get 100 yards down where he could see that section of road and not come up there. So we cut the distance and we sat there kind of strategically. And what I think he did, I think because it was like 12 minutes between when we sat down and when we killed him, I think he heard those loud yelps that I did at first, and he was probably a ways off, and he started walking to us and just didn't gobble at us. and he was just coming in silent.
Yeah.
And then when he got close, he probably didn't know exactly where we were because I didn't sit there and do like a 12-note yelp. I yelped like 3 times, pretty loud. So he probably didn't know exactly where we were. And I think when he got right there, he probably stood there for a minute and he was jacked up because he was wondering where the hen's at. And when that bird cannon went off, he shot gobbled at it. And then when I called on the ceramic, he gobbled at that. But so he starts working down that road just perfect. And I see him and I'm like, let him come because he's like maybe 60 yards. But he's committed, like white head. He's looking, he's bobbing that head all over the place. I'm like, he's going to come in a lot closer. Just like, let him walk in, take your time. And he gets through the first big gap. And then I'm like, or he gets into the gap and I go, kill him. And then he walks through it and he gets into the second gap. And like you said, there's only so many before he starts getting like 90 degrees from us and walks past us. And if he kept walking, he'd walk straight 90 degrees to your left at like 15 yards. And he gets to the second gap and I'm like, kill him. And that's about how loud I'm saying it. Like, turkey he's probably like, what is that? And he gets through that gap. And when he gets through that gap, now I'm like, okay. Because when he was in that gap, he stopped for a second. Because I remember this distinctly because he stopped and he did like this and he was looking into the woods, like where we were at. And when he stopped, I was like, uh-oh. But then he kept walking again. And I'm like, why didn't he just shoot him when he stood still? So he goes behind that big oak tree that you're talking about. When he goes behind that tree, my gun was sitting in my lap the whole time. I snatched the gun up and I put it on him. And I'm like, you better kill him.
Yeah.
We're not letting this turkey get away.
Well, I come to find out I was about 2 seconds away from having another missed opportunity. Andrew was going to take this bird.
I didn't know what was going on. I'm like, is he asleep? Like, well, I knew
Yeah.
you weren't asleep because I heard you whisper yell at me, but
Yeah, so I was able to position myself, and when he came through that third opening, I got lucky a little bit because
35 yards.
I think he checked up a little bit because he was looking again, and the minute he stopped is when I fired at 35. And I know instinct tells me I need to make a run on that bird, make sure he's dead, because if not, I need to close the gap. I don't have time to think because the next thing I know, Andrew's halfway to the bird before I'm even off the ground. And all of his calls, all of his stuff is just strewn about.
Yep.
I'm halfway to the bird before I realize I shoot a pump. I'm halfway to the bird before I realize I need to rack another one. So I pump halfway through and we get to the bird. And I mean, he's flapping like a little bit, but he's gone.
graveyard dead.
And so then I realized I probably should have thrown my gun down with it on safety. But I make sure he's dead. Andrew's about to touch it. He's like, no, you pick up your bird. And when I realize he's dead, I don't even worry about the bird. And I said this, I wish there would have been a camera, not of the kill, but of our celebration, because we freaked out.
Yeah.
And, like, we were hugging each other. We were screaming. I think y'all thought that there were coyotes or something.
Yeah,
'Cause-
I heard the shot, and I thought it was the bird cannon because we were so far from you guys, and all of a sudden I hear, and I'm like, what in the heck? And I'm like, and Blake was like, is that yelling? I'm like, that sounds like coyotes howling or something. Like, it was weird.
I'm like, Jacob, I hear, let's go. That's Sam. And he's like, I think it's coyotes. That's a long way. I'm like, I bet. I think they're yelling.
Yeah, so we got him, picked him up, took him back to where we were sitting. Next thing I know, Andrew's pulling out a cigar. I'm like, it's 8:20, but I'm game. And we sat there and reminisced on 2 minutes ago. It was awesome. So thankful that we were able to make that happen. That you were with me for it, and yeah, just I was calm the whole time. We got up and we were getting ready to leave, and that's when emotion kind of took over. And what I was emotional about was not having the kill. It was the fact that of the growth that we've had in the last 3 years, because before y'all came out with us, the first day we got our keys really late before the season opened, and the first day we went out there, we went to that part of the property. And I made the comment to Blakelee, don't know much, but what little I know, this looks like a place a turkey would die. Mm-hmm. And from that spot to where I killed that bird was less than a quarter mile. And that was what was so cool to me, is just the growth that we had, the time we'd put into the woods to say, I think we need to be here at some point, whether it's, before daybreak or at some point in the hunt, and then to see it all come together was really cool.
And we
Yeah.
had sat that spot that you killed the turkey at literally the week before. Like, you and I finished our hunt there, and we were like, dang, we've never seen this before. Or you had seen it once during deer season, but we were like, this would set up really good for turkey. And we kind of, like, sat there and just, like, I don't know, it was cool that a week later, I guess it just, like, further proved that even if you don't have a successful hunt and that, like, you've killed something, and this is something, like, me and Jake always do, like, whenever I've hunted with you or you and Mike, like, it's never a waste. Even if you don't hear turkey, it's like, all right, well, let's scout for deer. Let's, like, it's never wasted time.
Yeah.
And, like, looking back, every hunt that we've had, even some of them have been super frustrating or super, like, whatever. Even in the moment that I didn't think we were learning something, later on it, like, comes into play.
Yeah, there's something about when you shoot the turkey also that just brings out the little kid in you. Because that's what it was like, man. When we were running up that thing, we were like a couple 8-year-olds. Like, I remember running and I got to the turkey and, like, I remember I just, like, jumped in the air. It was like, yeah!
It really did, yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it was like we were playing tag because I was just hightailing trying to chase you with a firearm in my hand. Ill-advised again. But yeah, it was just pure. I mean, that's the reason we do this, is just like it is like being a kid, and you finally get what you've been wanting for so long. And it was awesome.
yeah, that was so fun. And after we brought the turkey back over to the tree and we just sat there for a while, and you're like, you want to go get you one? I'm like, let's just sit here and enjoy this for a second, because I'm like, I'm not overly concerned about walking all over and trying to find another one. I'm like, I've been waiting for this all year just to have one, because I haven't killed one yet this year. Still, at this point, I got 3 days left, but I hadn't like called one up yet. I'd watched Kyle shoot that one, but I hadn't actually called one up yet. It's been a super tough year, and so calling that up, and that's like the thing that brings out the little kid in you. It's like you try so hard to get one. And it's like when you actually shoot one and you run up to it, it's like, I can't even believe it. I can't believe this turkey's laying here in front of me right now.
Yeah, and I don't mind. It sounds crazy. I've just spent an hour plus talking about how frustrating hunting has been, and I finally got it. And we got the bird back. We fanned him out. He was missing half his fan. He was missing his right spur from fighting. And at first I was kind of bummed about that because everybody wants the beautiful fan and everybody wants the pictures, and I had thought about mounting my first bird, and then it dawned on me that that's the perfect bird for my first, because it just perfectly summarizes our time in the woods. I mean, it's been tough, it's been hard, it hadn't always been easy, it's been a grind, and obviously that turkey had lived a pretty tough couple years, and so at first I was upset by it, and then I just said to myself that this is the perfect summation for what we've been dealing with in the woods, and a lot of gratitude. So
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, and then I took a picture of you with that cigar and sent it to Jacob. I was like, now we wait.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know, like, we were yelling so loud. I'm like, I know they heard that.
Yeah.
There's no way they didn't hear it.
yeah, so I kind of got in the doghouse to keep the analogy of keeping me on a leash, because I didn't call Blake because Blake wasn't with me, and I had planned on acting like nothing happened and then letting her come to the truck and seeing it. Little did I know Andrew had sent the cigar picture, and then Jacob was like, "Yeah, Sam got a bird."
He, like, shows me the phone. I was like, that's awesome for him. I'm like, wow, that's great. Do you think he called it or Andrew? Because he didn't call. Or Jacob goes, did he text you? And I'm like, no.
Yeah, like I am.
Jacob's like,
I'm
put
as
the
dead
doubt
as this
in
turkey
me.
at this point. Like I'm up the creek without a paddle. But anyways, it was really awesome. And I told Andrew this: if Blakelee wasn't going to be with me for my first, to have y'all all in the woods with me that day again is just, because I don't mind saying it, like, whatever we are 3 years into this is because of you guys and the time that y'all have spent with us. And so to have y'all with me, and I was thinking about this on the way up to work today. I'm so glad I missed that first bird, because if I take that first bird, the likelihood of us all getting together to make these hunts happen, there's a lot less anxiousness for it or pressure to do it. And so you couldn't script it. You've got your wife, you've got your best friends in the woods with you, and you take a bird. Like, there's nothing better than that.
Yeah, that was great. That was a good time. Yeah, Jacob finally ended up calling, and he's like, who shot the bird? You or Sam? I was like, who do you think shot it? And he's like, I hope Sam.
Yeah.
I was like, well, it almost wasn't Sam. He had about 3 steps to go.
I almost caught some spray in my head from the angle you were going to take. But.
Yeah, because I had to, again, the tree was so big, Sam's sitting to my left, and I was like, I can only let him walk so far before I can't swing anymore because it'll be unsafe. And he was almost to that point, and I was like, do I shoot this bird? I was like, if I shot this bird, I will never live it down.
I've actually thought to myself a couple times, did Andrew actually shoot this bird? And he's just trying to make me feel good? Because you were so ready to take that shot that I don't know what I would have felt if I would have watched that bird fall and my hand's still on my finger.
Oh, dude.
That would have been brutal.
I would never let Andrew hear the end of it. That would have been terrible.
That would have been bad.
It worked out the way it was supposed to.
Would have been rough. So... yeah, it was perfect, man. That was great. Cool bird. He actually broke half his spur off. Like
it's like it
broke down the middle. Like split it like a piece of wood, and half of it fell off. And so it started growing back. It started growing backwards, like growing the wrong direction, which is pretty cool. So super unique bird.
It's like a cowboy.
Yep.
Like a cowboy. He's gonna live fast, love hard, and die young.
There you
Right.
go.
Leave a beautiful
Perfect
memory.
bird.
That's actually perfect. Yeah. Yeah, and so then last thing I'll say is obviously not the prettiest mount, and so we decided to cape it. Jacob was kind enough to help me figure out how to do that, and so I'm pumped because it'll be with us forever. We're gonna shadow box it or something once it dries out, but
Yeah.
awesome.
He actually made for some really cool pictures with half his fan being gone. And I was like, I was confused about the fan because I was like, did he knock it off when he started flopping or something? And I was like, I didn't see any tail fan feathers over there. And we walked back over there and looked, and I'm like, there's none here. And then I pulled all his feathers back, and he had sprouted new feathers already, and they were starting to grow like some of his tail fan feathers. And I'm like, he either got attacked by something or got in a fight with another turkey and got ripped up, got his butt whooped.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that was a great. We'll cut pictures of it and everything in so people can see what that bird looked like. But still on the quest to get Blakelee a bird, which
got
brings us to
3
today.
days left.
Yeah, 3 days left. It's crunch time.
Today was a wild ride.
Came close today, so Jacob, you can take over this.
So yeah, today was the third time me and Blakely was hunting together in like maybe a week and a half or so. And this place, you kind of alluded to this earlier, there's a ton of turkeys. It's like almost like hunting a petting zoo. There's so many turkeys, it seems like. It's just, if they acted right, it would be unreal, okay?
Yeah.
But they're gobbling more than what I've heard on public land. I haven't heard one gobble on public land in 2.5 weeks. So, haven't been down there yet to y'all's place without hearing them gobble. But this morning I had the thought, there's a kind of close, Sam, to where you had shot your bird, this big wood lot. I say big, for out there it's kind of a big wood lot. There was a spot where there was one, if not two birds gobbling right on the point of it. A couple days ago, when last time me and Blake hunted, and I told her when we had slipped in there a little bit later on in the morning when the birds kind of worked away, I think this is like, there's a spot right there, an intersection where there's that long road bed, and there's another road's brush hog trail that kind of comes together, this little T intersection that's like a perfect spot. Right off the roost, you're within probably 75 yards of where these birds were roosted a couple days ago. And that's where I really wanted to go, and it was us three actually hunting together this morning, which was fun. And got in there a little bit later than I wanted, just because they've been starting to gobble. Like, you can start seeing it like 5:15 now, and they're really been gobbling right around 5:30. We got in right around 5:25, and I actually brought a Jake decoy with us to kind of sit up in that roadbed so we can sit off of it. And had one gobble, heard one gobble right at 5:25 or 5:26, but kind of getting situated and everything, I think the commonality with this property is they're shifting so much with roost sites. You find a spot, and if you can't hunt like the next day, like where they've been roosting at, they're shifting. And this time they were further on the property line, probably 350, 400 yards from us. There was a couple birds over there. And then we had one or two kind of back towards the interior of the property, kind of back behind us. And to me, that's always, it's not necessarily frustrating, but it's a little annoying when you have a game plan like, oh, we're going to be on like I'm not going to say historical roost site, but like a really good roost site, and the birds are just not right there. They're, a little bit further away where you need to make a play on them. And we ended up making a play on one of the ones that was south of us. And we did a little bit different than what Sam, you, and Andrew did about crawling through that opening. I think we went through the same opening. We walked through that sucker right towards that bird, and he's gobbling. I'm like, he's out there. Like, we need to cover some ground, get close to him, make a call. And all of a sudden, it went from like, oh, I can see like maybe 100 yards, but like he's way further than that. So like we stop in a spot, and we get to that ditch that runs to the property. It's got all the big timber on it, and it's 150, almost 200 yards across, and you can see everything. And I was like, we need to stop for a second. We called. No, the bird didn't respond or anything like that. And that's been like the, not just on y'all's property, but the frustrating thing this late season is you get them gobbling on the roost or right when fly down, and it's like so hard to get. I've had a ton of struggle just getting them to respond, which is kind of frustrating. And making a loop, because this kind of got exciting because we actually had an opportunity today. This place also is covered up in pigs. And this is probably, other than, Andrew, when you were in Auburn hunting down there, I haven't really turkey hunted a lot of places with pigs. And I haven't seen a pig yet. This is the only third time on the property. But we ended up getting the sounder of some pigs, and I saw a big boar at like 25 yards. They were squealing and everything. I'm like, we got to walk by them because like we kind of hit that south property line and kind of work around kind of where this bird had, one of these turkeys had ended up gobbling towards. And dude, we walked right up on these pigs. I mean, I was like, I wish I had my handgun, like so bad. Wish I had my 10 millimeter, because I mean, they're just right there. I see this big boar. I say big boar, good sized pig, probably 150, 160 pound pig. He's just like standing there, just kind of like looking around. And I'm like, your ass can get shot.
You saw pigs this morning too, whenever you were driving in. Remember?
Oh yeah, we did see. Yeah, I did see some pigs driving into the gate
over the week.
through the pasture where the cows are out on the property. Yeah, just like running around. And I'm like, I ain't seen a pig yet. And all of a sudden, you get a little bit of rain, and the pigs are just back sucked into the property. But Sam, you could only hunt for a few hours this morning, so we didn't have a whole bunch of time to hunt with you. Ended up setting up in a pretty good spot, kind of actually probably 40, 50 yards from where y'all had sat up on that bird that kind of got in that field. And ended up sitting there for an hour, just like calling every 15 minutes, just hoping we could either strike a bird, have one come in silent, or just hear a bird gobble at a distance. Nothing happened. And that was like, again, the frustrating aspect, that lull, 7 to 8 o'clock in the morning. You end up having to leave. And this is when it got interesting, because me and Blakelee started walking a little bit further south and got up on kind of this corner and sat there for a second, and I ended up getting ready to like do a crow call. I was going to do something, and Blakely's like, "There's a turkey! There's a turkey!" Like kind of that. What do we call it again? Like
Whisper yelling.
Well,
She like,
I'm behind him, so I'm like, I want him to hear me, but I'm also like, don't want him to be like, what? And like move, because it was how close? Like
25 yards.
25 yards away.
We're acting like y'all are the ones that haven't turkey hunted before, you know? We're like, I don't want Andrew to move. I don't want Jacob to move.
I didn't mean it like that.
No, I know. I
Just like instinctual, when someone's like calls your name, you like move, and I'm like, don't move, Jacob. There's a turkey. He's like, a turkey.
and I'm like, where? And I'm like looking, and all of a sudden
like,
it's just walking right out in front of us. And I can't. It's in the shadows. I can't tell what it is, but it looked like a pretty decent sized body. I'm like, is that a longbeard? And it just like walks, like definitely saw something. We're in the shadows too, and it stops right by these big oak trees. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I'm frozen. Like, it's always, every time that happens, I don't know about you guys, every time it happens, like I see a turkey, see a deer, something like that, I never have both feet fully planted.
No.
It's always like I'm on one foot and I'm barely on the other one. And like that happened, I'm sitting there and I'm like, trying not to like wiggle or like wobble at all. And I'm like slowly trying to put my right foot down to like get stable.
It's like the most
It's
uncomfortable.
like every time that happens.
Jacob's twinkle toes.
Twinkle toes. Dude. It ended up, I think it was a hen, it ended up working off, but we ended up making a big loop around and kind of working up to the other side of the property. And we kept hearing crows just going crazy in one of the pastures. And I mean, just going crazy. And we've had a couple guys on the podcast, and I think I've seen this twice, but it wasn't in pastures. It was like in big timber where crows are harassing turkeys. And it was like a congregation of crows out in front of us in the pasture. and you could see them like kind of up in the sky, and they kind of like dive down. And I'm like, man, they gotta be doing something. And we worked over to the pasture, and all of a sudden we're like standing there, and I hear, like the crows are going, and I hear a gobble. I'm like, that was a turkey. And Blakelee, this is a funny thing about Blakelee. She hears a lot of stuff, but every now and then, like some of those like real faint gobbles, she's like, where? And I'm like, there's a turkey gobble like right over here, like far. And she's like, I didn't hear that, or I can't believe you heard that. And then he gobbled again, and I think that's when you heard him. Mm-hmm. We ended up working kind of up into the down the edge of the pasture, and kept seeing the crows. And I'm like, he's out there, like in the pasture with the cattle, somewhere in that situation or in that area. And I'm like, we got to go in and just make a loop around the edge of the pasture and see if we can lay eyes on him or see him or hear him. And he gobbled maybe 3 more times at the crows as we were slipping in. And we get down the edge of it, kind of staying into the timber. And I look out, and there's like clumps of trees out in that pasture. And I just see like this black spot, and then the fan opens up. And I'm like, he's right there. Like,
he was so excited. He went, yeah.
I'm like, that's not the way
He was so excited.
I'm like, he's strut, but we can see one finally. Because I mentioned this, I think, last week's episode, the first time I hunted with you.
Yeah.
We had a gobbler. We had some close encounters. Ended up busting one. Ended up having another one come by at 40 yards. Couldn't get a shot. And I'm like, it's good to see one strutting. Problem is, he's out in the pasture. Yeah. And looking at him and kind of how to approach the turkey, there wasn't a really great way to do it. And we ended up standing there, just kind of watching the bird. I ended up calling to him a little bit. Never gobbled at any calls, but he would drop strut, throw that head up when you'd yelp at him, and then blow back up and start. How did you describe him, Blakelee, again?
It looked like a Japanese lady with the fan, because it was like just like going back and forth. Like that's just immediately what I thought of. And it was almost like he was like on a timer too, because it was like he was literally like swaying like back and forth.
Yeah, spinning,
like,
zigzagging.
No variation, like just kept, I mean like in and out, but like the exact little path. Like he was happy and he was not gonna move.
Yeah.
I think that was the
How far is he?
I ranged him. He's 195 yards out in the field. Mm-hmm. So. And
that was crushing, because I'm like, dang, this is really my first real opportunity at a bird. And I'm like, because I could tell Jacob was trying to let me down easy. He's like, yeah, he's not real excited. Like, he's not really responding.
Well, he's not responding. I tried to like cut. I mean, I was slowly working up the volume, and then ended up just cutting at him. And I was like, clearly he's going to gobble to cut.
And my heart just dropped.
And I cut at him, and he just like blows back up and starts spinning again. I'm like, gosh. I'm like, okay.
Jacob's like, he's right where he wants to be. Like, he doesn't have to move. And I'm like,
no.
Yeah, just heartbroken. And the pasture had like some grass and stuff growing up in it. It looked like knee high, maybe a little bit higher, especially like where he was at. He was at kind of a low spot. And you could see him, and like all of a sudden he'd like disappear for a little bit, and he'd come back out kind of in the shadows of like these trees. And we ended up standing there for probably 30 minutes, and I'm like, maybe we can get on one of these tree lines and get close to him and kind of call him in, but like it's so thick in some of these tree lines, I'm like, we're gonna 100% gonna blow the turkey out because we're not gonna be able to be quiet. So we just sat there and watched him kind of depressingly, because I'm like, it's cool to watch. But after like 30 minutes, I'm like, we're not gonna kill this turkey. Like, dude, like, you know, this ain't gonna happen.
Not with that attitude.
And I could tell he was like, yeah, like, isn't that cool to see? I'm like, yeah, pat me on the head too. They're there. He's like, isn't that cool to see though? Have you ever seen one?
Likely a turkey.
He said, have you ever seen one in full strut? I'm like, only Sam's the beginning of the year, but you're right. Like, I should be thankful. This is cool to see. like kind of me. And I'm like,
pure guilt.
I'm not gonna be able to see this thing.
Yeah. Well, I told her, because we needed to leave to come up here and do the podcast. Like, we needed to leave the property by like 11:30ish. To get back, drop her back off, grab lunch, shower for the podcast, and like get up here. And it was 9:30 at the time when this all happened. And I told her we have 3 options. We can stand here and just watch him and just see what he does. See if he drips off to one of the tree lines that we can kind of swing on him. All right, we got that option. We can sit here and call a little bit and see if we can draw him over here. Third is you put a crawl on him. I'll stand back and kind of not distract him, but like try to keep him in one area because when I'm calling to him, he's staying in a little tiny bubble. Like it doesn't look like he's working an area more than 15 feet wide. And we can do one of the three. And I was like, because like she's never crawled on a turkey. I've crawled on some. It's never worked for me. Okay, I didn't tell her that straight up, but like I've blown too many turkeys trying to crawl on them, and I haven't hunted field turkeys because like this property is like cattle farm, mock orange grove or Osage orange, and like mix of timber kind of mixed out. And kind of like we mentioned earlier, like you can see so much out here, which is frustrating. That's one thing I like about hills, because hills is like, yeah, you can't always see the turkey, but you can make a move on if he's gobbling and get in position and call him up. And these field birds, it's not like this. Like you're probably going to see the turkey, he's going to see you, and you got to be able to make a position. And we ended up deciding, Blake was like, I'll crawl. Like, I'll try it.
Well, I couldn't tell if he like wanted me to, or I couldn't tell if you wanted me to do it or not. You're like, you don't have to, but like if you want to, and I'm like,
well, I'm going in my head. I'm like,
doing this thing.
It's a lot harder than you think physically. Like slipping on the ground and like trying to get in position and everything. I'm like, she's gonna have to go at least 150 yards to like kind of get in position and then try to make a fine tune adjustment a little bit closer.
But really, that motivated me further because I could tell he was kind of like. I'm like,
you can't do it.
I can do this. But also he was like, I'm going to stay behind and distract him for you. So I'm like, all right, so I got to go do this by myself too. Like, I don't know what I'm doing.
So y'all can't tell in the podcast, Blakelee's about half the size of me. Okay. So I'm like, my big butt dragging through, and the grass ain't that tall. Let's just be honest. The grass is not very tall. So we could have
some people ain't made for crawling.
So like, listen. He's looking like a Volkswagen Bug. I look like a Volkswagen van crawling out there. Okay. I'm like, I don't know how well this is gonna work. So I'm like, you can try it. Plus, I'm like, if you get the opportunity, you're gonna learn whether. Kill the bird or don't kill the bird. You're going to learn some things by doing it. And anyway, she's like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. By the way, so we do that, and I'm like, I don't really think I asked. I mean, I did ask you, like, have you even crawled on a turkey? And you're like, no. I'm like, I went through, like, we ended up, like, getting we were inside the tree line, but we got a little bit further from inside the tree line. And I'm like, let's practice real quick. Like, exactly how to crawl, like, two ways. Like, either, like, hands and knees, if the grass is tall enough and you can't see the bird, you can like move a little bit quicker. If you got to get lower, you got belly crawl. Get down on the ground, pull the gun out, push the gun out in front of you, and then pull yourself along and do it like that. And I also went over how to shoot, either in a prone position or, again, if she could sit up on her butt and actually shoot, how to do that.
Little does he know, I dream about this moment all the time. I've told Sam, like, I want to crawl on a turkey. Like, literally sneak up, like in Nam.
Just like Saigon, baby.
So I was excited, kind of. I mean, I was like, I really hope I don't blow it, but it was kind of exciting.
Yeah. Had to give her some snacks because she was like shaking she was sitting there. She's like, I need to eat something. She like laid on the ground to like practice crawling, and her stomach growled so loud. And I'm like, they're gonna think that turkey's gonna hear you and think there's a black bear like coming to eat it. Okay? Like that's what it sounds like. I mean, loud, dude. Gosh. So we sat there. I'm like, he's not going anywhere. So like, we're not in a huge rush, but we do have we have a limited amount of time before we need to leave. So she ends up practicing. I gave her my rangefinder too because I'm like, you need to like the big thing about field turkeys, and I've learned this after shooting at some way too far, inexperienced, not using a rangefinder, is if they're all strutting, you're all worked up, saying like you talked about earlier. Either you misjudge range or you get too fired up and you take a shot longer than what you really need to. That's effective and also like ethical. And I'm like, take my rangefinder. You need to use the rangefinder, make sure it's in range to get in position. So she starts going, and this is it was kind of funny at first. So at first, like Blake, I'm going to get you to tell your aspect of the story. She's like on her hands and knees, and she's going. I'm like, okay, this is fine. And I'm like, watch my watch because I'm like, she started at 10 o'clock. I'm like, let's see how fast, but like slowly at the same time, like stealthily, hunting like a bobcat, which I think is her new nickname, Bobcat. Slipping in position because there was like where the turkey was at. There was like it looked like it was thigh high, like grass, like dead grass and stuff in the pasture. That was kind of between you and the bird, and then there was like more like yellow, almost I'm gonna call it looks like more like a meadow kind of next to it that looks shorter. And I'm like, stay in the yellow stuff. It's a little bit shorter. Have that tall grass between you and the birds. Slip up, get to this little clump of trees, slip out of the trees, and you should be within 30, 40 yards of the turkey. What was your thought starting out? Because I knew, listen, I've crawled on turkeys, and it's terrible, especially when it's hot. Because it's like your neck hurts, your back hurts, your shoulders hurt, like just kind of moving through. But what was your thoughts kind of getting started?
Yeah, so I guess I'll back up a little bit. So we're at the fence, and Jacob gives me some of his snack, gives me some of his water. I'm like, all right, I can do this. I'm pumped to do it too. But I'm just like, I hope I don't mess this up. So we go over kind of like there's this clump of trees, there's this clump of trees, and there's this long limb, and the gobbler's like strutting underneath the shadow. So me and Jacob kind of go over, like you said, there's the dark stuff and the lighter, more meadowy, grassy stuff. He's like, you're going to hug that edge, and it kind of juts out twice. He's like, kind of follow it, but then you're going to get in that clump of trees and then try to sneak around it and then set up on it. I'm like, all right. So I start going, and I tell him, like, I need you to give me a sign. Like, if I'm too high up, give me a sign. He's like, oh, no, that's not necessary. I'm like, no, give me a sign. Because, like, I want to make sure that I don't mess this up. And he's like, well, I don't know what call for that to be. I'm like, let it be a crow call. He's like, all right, fine. I'm like, so if you do the crow call, that means that I need to get lower. Because that was my main concern.
I totally forgot about that. That was the reason for the crow call. Keep going, sorry.
Yeah, that was my main concern, was that I wasn't going to stay low enough. So I start going straight out the gate, all through poison ivy. I'm like, hoping I'm not allergic to this. So I start going, and I'm like, first off, I got rid of both my hot hands, both packs, my hoodie, my big down jacket. I mean, it was...
It's May 5th, and she has hot hands, by the way.
Like, it was cold this morning. It was cold. So I'm like, all right, it's time to do this. So I'm crawling, and I, like, look back at Jacob. He's like... I'm like, all right.
You're doing great, sweetie.
No, it's what I needed. Jacob is good for hunting for me because he like...
He's our hype man.
Yeah, he, like, teaches me, but he also is giving me, like, I'm like, perfect. So I, like, go some more, and I turn around, and he's like... I'm like, all right. I'm go some more, and then I, like, look up, and I'm like... I kind of, like, sit up. He's like, as long as you can't see the turkey, he can't see you. So I'm, like, stand up, and I'm like... Not stand up, but, like, on my...
All fours.
All fours.
Yeah.
And I kind of look around. I can't see the turkey. I'm like, ooh, what trees am I going to? Because at this point, I'm literally, like, on the ground, trying to see over this grass. And I turn around. I can't see Jacob. I'm too far. And I can't see him. And I'm, like, trying to, like, hold the gun. And I'm, like, and he's, like, and I'm, like, and he's, like,
giving hand signals.
He's, like, trying to tell me that I've gone too far. I'm, like, way off to the right.
Yeah. She was like, go.
Wait,
she was taking an approach that should have been almost a straight line, and she started hooking way to the right. And I'm like, stop. I actually started whistling at her, which I don't think you heard.
I didn't hear it.
Because I was like, trying to get her attention. I'm like, don't go. Because like she was, the way the field was, like that pasture, it like gets higher in elevation to the right. And I'm like, you're going to be more exposed to the turkey. Like you need to hang a little bit lower down, which of course you couldn't communicate.
But it's so hard to know that when you're that low to the ground. Because like I was like, I'm not going to be too high. So I mean, I'm staying so low. I kept like resting and like trying to keep my neck down because it was like on fire.
I told you it'd be hard.
Like on fire. And I'm like, all right, I can't quit. And I'm like going. And I'm like, I do not know what trees I'm supposed to go to. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I would mess this up. I'm like way too far over. So I correct. I start going to the left.
Yeah. Well, she gets to the point, she gets in that, what I call like the meadow looking grass. So come to find out it was like super dry and loud. I didn't know that when she was crawling through it.
Everything, it sounded like popcorn with each drag.
Like I mentioned, I look like a Volkswagen van crawling out there. Dude, she gets in that stuff and she's laying in it. And I kept watching the gobbler and she gets out maybe like 90 yards from me. And I look back, I'm like, where's Blakelee at? And I'm like, looking, and all I see is about 3 inches of the top of her hat in that stuff. And this stuff is not tall, dude. And she's like, I'm talking crawling, dude, like a snake. Like, that's the only way to, like, dude, I'm telling you, it looked like a bobcat crawling up to, like, trying to eat a turkey, okay? And she's like, I mean, barely see the top of her head moving. I'm like, oh, she's got this. Like, impressed. And I'm like, I'd be, like, sitting there.
Elite
like,
crawler.
Yeah, I'd be, like, 18 inches higher than her, like, dragging my belly through it. It's terrible. Freaking, it'd be, oh my gosh. And, but she ends up, I'm like watching the gobbler, and as she's crawling, I'm still like yelping at this turkey just to like make sure it's the one time I was like, turkey's hung up, I'm gonna make sure he stays hung up in that same spot. Like I don't want him drifting off one way or the other because there's no way to communicate with her. So I'd like keeping his attention where he'd drop strut and then he'd go back in the strut and just start spinning in circles. I'm like, cool. Like do that like every 10 minutes. Well, I kept my watch on me looking at it, and it took her 19 minutes to get to that tree, that next clump of trees, which is right there within like 60 to, I don't know, 40 to 60 yards from the turkey, maybe a little bit further. And I see her, she gets in it and gets in the shadows. And I'm like, looking at the gobbler, and I'm like, crap, where's Blakelee at? I'm just looking for movement in the shadows. And I see a hat moving, like I can barely see her hat, and like, that's it, dude. I'm standing up, and I'm like, there's not like a ton of elevation in the pasture. And I'm like standing up, I'm like, she's like super low. I mean, just belly crawling through this stuff.
I mean, like straight through poison oak, poison ivy. I mean, it's like in my face. Like it's all over, and I'm like,
hardcore.
I hope that I do not die from a snake bite, because I could see like just literally this high of poison oak, poison ivy, like all in the shadows. I'm like, I still can't see the turkey at this point. I'm just like hoping that he's still in the same spot.
Yeah. Well, she ends up disappearing. And I'm like, we had told there was the game plan was there was one cedar tree right on the edge, like if you're facing that little clump of trees, timber, on the left edge of it, towards the turkey, there was a cedar tree. And I told her to sneak up to that cedar tree and specifically stay on the left-hand side of the cedar tree so I could see her, hopefully. And then she'd be within probably 45 yards of the turkey. And I'm like, just whether you can shoot prone or get up on a knee, whatever, like you'll be able to shoot them. And I'm watching, and I'm like, dude, it's like, now it's like 45 minutes has gone by. Like, she got there in 19 minutes. I'm like, where is she at? And I'm still calling. I'm making sure this turkey, like, stays right there because it kept kind of drifting around. Called a little bit more, and I'm like, at any moment, I'm looking at this, like, stayed in the binos. I'm like, at any moment, I'm going to hear a gunshot and see this turkey start flopping. And then it goes from, like, 45 minutes to an hour. And I'm like, where's Blakelee at?
Did she fell in a sinkhole?
Yeah, I'm like,
I've been killed by a snake. I'm just like, laying
I'm like, where is she at, dude? For like, I haven't seen her now in 40 minutes. And all of a sudden, I'm like watching the gobbler, and he drops strut. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, then I start seeing, rubbernecking. I mean, he had that head up so high, and he's like looking over in her direction. I'm like, oh crap, she's probably making a move, like getting situated, getting ready to shoot him. So I start calling to him to get him to spin his head back around and like look back at me. And he did that, went back in the strut for a second. And then I stopped, and that head came right back up. And I'm telling you, he was burning a hole in that grass with his vision. I mean, dude, he had his head up, leaned way forward. I could see him over the top of the grass, just looking like right where she should be at. And I'm like, you gotta kill him. You got like this turkey, and its head changed. He was like white, like pretty much a white head to like straight red. And I'm like, oh, this is not good. Like either there's a gunshot or a turkey's about to start running and flying. Well, this goes on for maybe like 3 minutes, and then I see him turn and walk. So she's in one block of timber. There's another little wood patch right next to him that he's been next to. Like, there's probably, 20 trees right there. And he ends up going back into that stuff. And I'm like, oh, crap. Like, he's about to, like, take off running. Like, he started walking. But he wasn't walking super fast. I'm like, crap. So, like, I'm trying to buy her as much time as possible because I don't know what's going on. So, I'm like, I start yelping again, trying to get that turkey to stop. And, like, maybe she just needs a split second to, like, kill the turkey. And I call again. He stopped for a second, kind of raised his head up, but he kept looking back in her direction. And this goes on, and he keeps moving. And Blake, I'm going to have you tell your part of the story. He keeps moving. I'm like, where is she at? And all of a sudden, he gets to, like, almost the far edge of this skinny little block of timber, which is probably only 40 yards long at the most. And I catch movement through the binos. And I look back to the right, and I see that hat. Like, in the grass. I mean, just slipping. And I'm like, she's crawling on this turkey like she's trying to kill it with a knife, dude. Okay? I'm like, straight up trying to execute this turkey with a pocket knife. And anyways, Blake, I'll let you tell your part of that. That kind of led up to that.
Yeah, so I finally gotten all my little grouping of timber. And like I said, I'm like full out, like pulling myself over thorns, sticks, holes, poison oak, poison ivy, blah, blah, blah. So I'm crawling through all this stuff in my little blob of timber, and I see the cedar tree that Jacob tells me to set up on. And I'm like, if I set up over there, I'm going to be even further from him. Because at this point, the turkey, like, started out in my little grouping of timber. He was, like, directly in front. Well, at this point, he started, like, drifting further and further. So I'm like, I won't even, like, that's even further. So I pull myself all the way over to the edge. And I'm still in the shadows. And I find this skinny little tree. And I, like, set up on it. Like, I'm sitting there, have my gun ready. And all I can see is his fan. Like, I cannot see his head. At this point, his head's still, you know, like, tucked up.
How far is he?
At this point, he's still probably a good 40 yards, but cannot see anything but the fan. I mean, he's literally like up in that block of timber. I'm still on the edge of this one. So we have this chasm of like the grainy, just tall, like goldeny grass between us. So I'm like, dang it. Like, I'm set up. I was like so happy to find a tree because I'm like, this will make me feel more stable. I don't have to shoot prone, all this. And I'm like, I sit there for a few minutes. I'm like, Lord, please help him to stick his head up. Like, help him to stop. Dude, continues. I'm like, all right, I got to be decisive. If I've learned anything this season, it's like you can't just sit and wait. Like, be patient, yes, but, like, you also have to be advantageous, like, move. So I'm like, all right, we're going to crawl some more. So I start crawling. And at this point, I'm like, I know I'm really close to this turkey. So I was just like, please help it. Please help a breeze to come. And like anytime a breeze would come, that's why it took a minute at this point, because I was trying to wait because this grass was so tall. I mean, like if I stood up, it was mid-thigh on me. And I'm 5'2". Like it was tall grass. So I'm like, he can tell whenever my gun, you know, I'm moving the gun and then he sees lots of this grass just going down. So I wait for a breeze to come, I move. And at this point, I'm not using like my knees. I'm not using like, I'm like pull, like dragging. Like I can feel dirt. My shirt's completely, like dirt everywhere. So I finally like pull up just a little bit, just enough to where I can see. And I can see at this point, he's stopped with his fan and his head's red. I'm like, crap. Like he's starting to get suspicious. But at this point, I'm like, all right, I'm going to try to shoot him prone. So I lay down, and all I can see, my red dot, all I can see is just grass. Grass everywhere. Like, I cannot see his head. Even though when I stand up, like, sit up, I can see his red head. But the second I go prone, I can't. So I'm like, there's no way that I can sit up. Even going slow, all the stuff we talked about, I cannot sit up. By the time I do that, he's going to be gone. Because at this point, he's already almost about a quarter of the way from where he started around this timber. So I'm like, all right, he's going to keep going around it. I'll just go to the edge, wait for him to walk around. I'll drag myself through this side and get on the other side of it. So he's going around. I drag myself all the way there. And at this point, I don't see him anymore. So I'm like, I know he's behind a tree. There's lots of like oak trees and stuff like that here. So I stand up. And I'm look around the tree, and I can see his red head, and he's facing opposite of me at this point. And then I see something out of my corner of my eye, and there's a hen. I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm like, all right, we're going to have to get down on the ground again, try to drag. And I literally go to crouch down, and she just takes off. She's over at this point. She's completely past this group of timber and in the field. So I would say, I don't know if you could tell, but at least 35, 40 yards from my side to her on the opposite side of the field. It was a good distance. And he kind of like looks a little startled, but she flies. So I'm like, all right, I still have a shot with him. So I'm on the ground, and about that time, he just starts running.
Heartbreak.
And my heart broke.
Oh, man.
After all that.
I gotta say though, again, y'all know more than I do. I told her today, and it wasn't just to try to make her feel good. It's one thing, like my turkey, we brought one in at 35 yards, and I was sitting dead still. It's another thing to close a 190-yard gap on not even your hands and knees, on your belly. And you are rucking it like you're going through NAM. And for you to do that, and I got a shameless plug too. I was sitting at a lunch recently, and I was talking to a guy who's a hunter. I told him about my wife hunting with me. And he was like, well, dude, you've just won at life, haven't you? That your wife wants to do that. And it's like, some wives want to go hunt. There are very few, anybody, let alone women, but anybody who wants to go on their stomach for 200 yards to try to get a kill. And so for you to get that close and to just not only want to do it, but be excited to do it is pretty cool.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the thing about Blakelee is she is legitimately as hardcore as the rest of us. It's impressive. Mm-hmm. And crawling on a turkey is hard.
It's terrible.
I've killed a couple like that. And dude, it is tough. Like, physically and having the hard part is like your neck starts burning or whatever. It's real uncomfortable. And having the discipline to not just like kind of like roll over or do something you know you're not supposed to do and go that distance, that is super hard. Especially on a critter that can see and hear that good.
Yeah.
Sneaking up on them is super impressive. What's the closest that you got to him, you think?
So whenever I kind of like pulled up a little bit, I used the rangefinder really quick, and it said it was around, what I told you
You
earlier?
said 12 yards.
Yeah, it was about 12 yards.
You got 12 yards?
I mean,
from him?
I was close. Like, I could see his head as soon as I was like up, but then the second I was down. I mean, I think that was the most heartbreaking thing, and that's what I kept telling Jacob. I was like, I did it. Like, I was so close. If only the grass wouldn't have been, and it was thick too. It was not only tall, but as soon as I got ready, all I could see, I mean, the red dot was just all over grass, and the breeze is going at this point. I mean, like, cannot see his head. And it just hurt because it was like, I did that. Like, I got so close to him, and it would have been perfect.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you said in Florida. You had that Jake, you had your red dot on him. You're not going to feel this way. You're going to roll your eyes at this comment. And it is a moral victory. But you didn't take the shot because you were like, I killed that bird. Like, I've killed a Jake before, didn't come here to shoot a Jake. Mm-hmm. The fact that you didn't get busted halfway through that, I mean, the situation just didn't present itself. But for all intents and purposes, like, that's a huge win.
The fact that when he started, his head changed color, I thought he was going to take off, and he just was like slowly walking and feeding, and I could then see her still stalking the turkey like within shotgun range, was mind-boggling.
I heard him spitting. That's what I told you.
Yeah.
Oh, we're actually listening to today's episode of the podcast in the truck, and the guy that was talking, Brian, was like talking about a turkey spitting out. He like did the noise. I said, "Oh, I heard him do that today." And Jacob like pauses. He's like, "You heard him spit?" Like, and he like does the noise. I'm like, "Yeah, I didn't know what he was doing, but I heard him do that today."
Oh, cool.
He's like,
okay.
"Dang, you were close." I'm like, "I'm not a liar."
Yeah. It was like I couldn't see her.
Calling you a truther.
Yeah, when she was coming across that gap in between the two little blocks of woods, again, it looks like it was maybe 40 yards wide or something like that. And when the turkey acted weird, like what I was saying, that's when she was already out in it, like probably halfway to the turkey.
When he was like, "It's been 45 minutes, like, what's she doing?" I was in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Like, literally trying to crouch my head down because I knew he was acting crazy. And I was like, "Please don't see me."
Well, the thing is, the turkey never saw her until later on. Mm-hmm. He just heard something and was like keenly looking in that direction, but never physically saw her. Because if he would have saw her, he would have been gone.
Yeah.
But like he never really spooked until later on when she
Really, it was that hen. When that hen took off,
Yeah.
that's when he really was like,
the hen took off flying and he looked back and was like, "Nope." And I mean, he just hightailed
He
it.
said, "Baby, where you going?"
No,
and the thing is, I was still behind the tree at this point on the ground. So I don't even know if he actually saw me or if he got spooked from the hen flying off.
yeah, I mean, it's probably
It could be either one.
yeah. But again, I
You crawled up there with 2 turkeys.
yeah. And see, I didn't know the other hen was there until when he had his head all stretched out and rubbernecking and looking at her, like looking in her direction. That's when I saw the hen come by. I was like, "Oh crap! There's 2 turkeys. This is not good." I'm like, "There's 2 sets of eyes, man. 2 sets of ears. Like this ain't good." But I was telling Blake, I was telling you that it's a huge accomplishment just from again, some people talk down to people who crawl on turkeys, and like Todd Bigby last week, he's like, "I'll kill him anyway." He's like, I think he's like talking about crawling is one of those things that's so hard to do, and in a lot of circumstances, than just like calling one if the turkey's hot. But there's so much woodsmanship skills there of like just stalking, slipping, crawling that you can take to a lot of other things of like from the visual, like keep yourself from being seen. Also paying attention to like when the wind was gusting, that's when you started moving, and then when it stopped, you would stop, and also keeping your composure, baking in the sun. I mean, I'm looking out in that field, in that pasture, and the mirage coming off was intense. And I'm like, I know she's just baking right now. And to be able to handle all that and get that close to an animal who specializes in seeing and hearing things that are trying to kill it is super impressive. Super impressive.
Well, y'all taught me everything I know.
Well, it's been a good season so far. We've got this airs on Thursday, last day of season. So, but we got a couple days between now and then to get it done. So I don't know. I got high hopes. I mean, the birds are there, so it's just a matter of time. You know, it's just a matter of time as long as you stick with them. So we got 3 days. Are you hunting 3 days? What are we doing?
I don't think we've nailed down Wednesday, but we're for sure doing Thursday.
What's more? Couple hours.
If you can offer it, she'll be there.
We can go for a couple hours, hunt to 8:30.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
They're supposed to be there at 9:30.
We're sitting right underneath the roofs.
Yeah, it's starting to get aggressive, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is already almost 2 hours, so we need to wrap this puppy up. I want to talk deer, but we're going to save it because we're going to have y'all back on because y'all are going to kill bucks this year. It's happening.
So,
It
We're
is
going to
happening.
do it. Especially because y'all had actually a very good deer season this year on y'all's club.
Yeah.
First year in it, and I don't know how much he's been talking about it like while y'all been hunting, but his mouth is watering over deer hunting.
It's like hunting. It looks like Kansas.
Yeah.
Like it
We
really
are going to have
does.
to come. And I did tell y'all a few months ago, we opened with me expunging, I think is the words, myself.
I was real confused. I was like,
Yeah, you mentioned me missing a deer a few episodes ago when Tiffany killed her deer.
oh yeah.
She shot a deer. 10 minutes later, I missed a deer. Same power line. What you didn't tell, folks, is that we got up to hunt that morning at 4 a.m. and my truck had been ransacked. And I did not have my firearms, so I was using your iron sight.
Iron sight, lever action 30-30, baby.
And I did not know that
You said you like the West. That's
Yeah.
Wild West gun right there.
I didn't know I needed to bear down. And we got back to the truck after I shot right over a deer at broadside at 60 yards. And you were like, yeah, probably should have told you that. And I'm like,
Yeah, that was an unfortunate situation. Yeah, because your truck got broke into, your rifles got stolen,
both
Yeah.
of them.
and thankfully, I don't know why I even brought it, but I brought that gun just as a backup, and I was like, well, sorry that your guns got stolen, but if you still want to go, I got another rifle.
yeah.
And so we went, and yeah, I didn't explain the iron sights like I should have.
12-hour day, I got broken into, missed the first shooter buck I'd seen in 3 years, and then dropped $1,300 on a new rifle. So it was a painful day.
Hey, you gonna have that sometimes, man. That's a.
And I took one for the team and hunted the rest of the year with no gun.
We got your dad's gun.
Yeah.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
like misfired twice.
Yeah, I remember that because
Tried to use it.
Tiff shot her deer, and then I heard you shoot, and I was like, no freaking way. We
know.
just doubled.
I know.
What could have been?
Yep.
What could have been?
Just digging.
I know. I
Digging.
know. Yeah. So
It's okay. You're going to redeem yourself this year.
that's
It's
exactly
happening.
right.
Started squirrel hunting this year after you killed some squirrels.
Yeah, Andrew and I got some squirrels. So, but we really do appreciate it. I mean, this podcast is something we love, and I think we talk a lot about kind of the legacy we want to leave for our kids and how I didn't have that growing up, and now, Lord willing, I'm going to have the opportunity to share that with my kids. And the idea of one day being able to hunt with multiple generations of my family is just incredible to me. And I've got y'all to thank for that. Seriously, y'all just being patient. I mean, the selflessness of I'll take a dig at you, not having a bird yet. The selflessness of not having a bird yet you're gonna go call for me and allow me to get a bird is pretty cool. So it means a lot. Y'all's friendship means a lot. So thank y'all for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this is the kind of friendships like we prayed for. I mean, like I know I've prayed for years, and it's like you immediately, all the stars aligned. Me and Tiff knew each other in college from like a sorority, but just the way that everything kind of came together, and it's like you feel like how did you ever not know each other, you know? And just like all the similarities, and just truly, it sounds cliche, but like friends that feel like family. So I'm excited to have a lot more years hunting and get to do it together with all our families.
Yeah. Well, glad to know you guys, man. It's always fun hunting with y'all. And your eagerness makes it even more fun. So it makes me want to take you out and call you up a turkey, even though I haven't killed one myself, So, but anyways, yeah, we'll get some deer stories in this year. We're planning a couple trips. Bought some Wyoming points.
That's right.
We're gonna do
Gator
that.
points.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gator tags.
Gator tags.
Gator tags.
Yeah, I went from never going on a hunt. What was the first year we hunted? 2023? Mm-hmm. From 2023 to now, we've deer hunted every year, turkey hunted every year, turkey hunted in South Florida. We've gone on a quail hunt in South Dakota. We pheasant hunted in South Dakota.
Pheasants.
We quail hunt all the time with my dad in South Alabama. Put in our points for Wyoming, put in our tags for gator. I mean, just fall in love with it.
Oh yeah, we gotta make sure that this year y'all put in for your SOA hunts too for Alabama. Yeah.
Sure.
Well, yeah, we got a lot of runway, like we were talking about a minute ago. So, anyways, you got anything else?
No, not at all. Appreciate everybody watching the podcast. Thank all for listening. We'll catch you back here on the next episode from the Southern Outdoorsman. And remember, guys, y'all stay Southern.